is up, all you misfits out there, and welcome to tonight's episode of Skeptic and Ranting. The fossil record proves evolution debunked.
Uh-oh.
That's right. Where tonight we are watching a video called The Fossil Record Proves Evolution Debunked. From the channel, of course, DeBunked Ministries. So won't you join James W. and myself for some fun that took billions of years to get here?
15 feet of fun.
Oh my. Woohoo!
Hey guys.
Welcome everyone out
Welcome
there
back.
on the inner tube.
We were just here.
I know.
A few hours ago.
We kept our seat warm, right? And toasty, like hell. Hopefully. But I want to thank everyone out there on the inner tubes. If you're feeling fancy, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. And I only say hopefully because I assume Satan would be on team atheist, non-believer, heathen. It just really wouldn't make sense if he was fighting for the big man up there because he was the rebel. You can't really be the rebel and then punishing,
if you're on the payroll.
Yeah, if you're on the payroll, really, then you're just the PR department. But yes,
God's just making him do it.
Then, exactly. But then, James, where's his free will? You're taking away Satan's free will there. But then you can hit that bell icon to all. So, you can join our live streams like all of the wonder people out there on the internet. Now, we are a skeptic channel. That's right, baby. Individually, right here. It may be the DMT, or it may just be natural, or Maybelline. Anyway, I love you. Woohoo! The two schmucks you see before you, we are skeptics. Now, we do invite all. In fact, I would say we are looking for opposing views out there for our open mic when we open up the floodgates. But we are going to be But we will be welcoming atheist or theist, liberal or conservative. We just ask that you come as you are and not on my sheets. On the flags. Sometimes, sometimes okay, as long as I can, gotta get them washed. God damn it, you're gonna make me wash.
Amy likes white cheddar popcorn.
Oh my. This housekeeping is also sponsored by our Patreons at patreon.com/Amy Newman, which helps us make even more fun content, including the wonderful Oz from the Round Table. And speaking of Oz, he is getting ready to prep his very own stand-up performance. So we are giving a shout out to Oz right now. You all should head to tart.live, whether you're hearing this now or in the future. Because Tang Gang, connecting atheists. And Oz is just a brother from another mother. And yes, the entire Tang Gang is kind of badass. But yes, sending
hardcore atheist
to Oz, and also sending love as we level up in the non-believer community to Ian Davenport.
Thanks, Ian.
Which, he helps us remind us that No, our heart formed naturally. You need to treat it healthy and not go to McDonald's 5-7 days a week, even though it tastes so good. Americans are burgers. The
struggle is real.
I know. The struggle is real, James. It really is.
Yeah.
But thanks so much to Ian Davenport.
Thanks,
and
Ian.
Also, as we listen to these types of creationist claims, and generally speaking, the type of video that we're going to listen to tonight.
These type of claims.
And a grumpy old cuss. Just go bleep, bleep, bleep. Because they're kind of filled with nonsense. And funny enough,
it's bad.
They never hold the glass or the magnifying glass to their own beliefs. I always love how their standards, especially when it comes to looking at things like abiogenesis and everything, it's always right up here. And yet
they want absolute proof. They want to see it.
Were you there when the fish became, a lizard? You weren't there. Well, were you there when Jesus did the whole tasty food review and just made fish come out of nowhere, fish and loaves?
No, Amy, but there were people who were there who wrote it down, and we can read it from there.
James, are you going to take 500 Yelp reviews of someone coming back from the dead wrong? Come on.
Except that's how they're going to present it. They're not going to say, oh, it was written decades later after the event supposedly take place by people that we don't know who they were. No independent corroboration of any of it, but
all of the people from this one text agree that this one text gets it all correct. Oh, fantastic. Though 3 princesses in one, Diana Smith, and the rest of us in the skeptic community, we kind of aren't buying it. I don't know. Not feel like.
Thank you, Diana.
Woohoo! Sending love to Diana Smith, and maybe they just need to get their butts back in their own science departments. I love when they say things like creation science. I would love to see the cutting edge documents that are coming out of creation science.
Though, you have to give it to them. They are hardcore, and you at times you might feel sorry for them because it's like almost every day we get new evidence, new scientific finding confirming evolution, confirming the naturalistic origins, and they are just deflecting all this stuff constantly being thrown at them. Like Neo from the Matrix, they are just dodging everything.
Doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you are. The fact that COVID is a virus that mutated from something else is evolution. Okay? Whether you believe anything about it, evolution is the reason why we're here. I really don't even understand. It is close to a flat Earth belief. Once again,
it is very close. This is very similar.
6,000-year-old Earth and any other major conspiracy theory. I know they hate being grouped into that, but it is only normalized through the fact that so many of their peers in their religious organizations push their narrative.
Well, like I said yesterday, astute scientists figured out way before anybody circumnavigated the globe or went high enough to see curvature, but using information available to them, they were able to figure out that they were on a round Earth. And you know what happened? Later on, when we were able to do the experiments, we were able to circumnavigate the planet. What did we find out? Oh, they were right. The world is round.
And yes, what happened was is that you had a single test, and then you had a different test that gave collaborating data that matched on the same point, which is what you're trying to find in science.
That's the same thing as when the Christians say that they don't see evolution happen. Yet just because you don't see it, just because you don't see species change, doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Well,
it's just not able to be perceived in our time scales.
Yeah, they have no perspective of time. Basically, what they're saying is if it doesn't happen in the time between me and Grandpa, it didn't happen.
Or it's a religious belief and you have to just believe it because you can't see it. No,
we equally believe on faith, James. We
Yeah,
have our
yeah,
evolution and they have their religious belief. That shouldn't be, once again, for all the theists out there who do believe in evolution, I feel for you. Listen, my olive branch.
Yeah.
Really, I'm feeling for you because these people make you look bad. There's nothing that says that you have to believe a day. I'm trying to think what the word is, like day Earth literalist view. You don't have to do that.
Young Earth creationists.
Yeah, I forget. They have some sort of thing that they call for the 7-day cycle shtick, but it's all PR.
Well, there's the day age, but those are the people that don't subscribe
day
to
age type of.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
Day age. They think that the days were long periods of time, or maybe heavenly days. So
gotcha.
a day could have been
the metaphorical theist. Well, the metaphorical theist, I am
day-agers,
offering you a handout. Maybe you'll reach around if you're nice enough. But because really, they are out there actually in labs doing science right next to their secular peers. They just aren't using Jesus as their guide.
They're just piggybacking Jesus on the back of science. Let science do all the work, then give Jesus all the credit by saying, yeah, but Jesus made it happen. He was in another dimension, making evolution happen, making a biogenesis happen, which is not falsifiable, so they can believe that. There's just no reason to.
Just a topic on abiogenesis, and it really needs to be its own topic, no matter how badly the creationists want it to. Do you know how I know evolution is wrong? Because abiogenesis, stop. No, bad boy or girl.
Yeah.
But yes, we're sending love also to the resident archaeologist of the channel, of our skeptic community. We are sending love to Pat Lowinger, who has done many fantastic episodes with us, as well as helping us take an archaeological, a historical look at how sacredness came to be for many groups' social context. And I also have to just send out love to the amazing, fantastic, and lovely Biddy Buddha, who they have teamed up to do an amazing channel at the youtube.com/BiddyBuddha_. So go check out all that fantastic, wonderful, non-believers.
Good stuff over there.
And if there was, I'm trying to remember, what is the... thinking Transformers. What was the movie where they all come together? Like they all have a unit. It's like the Tang Gang.
Power Rangers?
Power Rangers. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Look, I need as many pop cultural references as I can fit into this show, gosh darn it. Anyway,
I just figured you would be good with Transformers.
That's true. I would try to transition that into anything I could. So you are right. But we are sending love to Pat and Biddy, and also the lovely and fantastic as we are looking in the skeptic community, we are sending love. Well, we're looking for empirical evidence. That's what we're really looking for. A little bit. And funny enough, we find lots of it with evolution. So Dale Pastel takes a look at those creationists, and he's just like, yeah, they jelly.
Shakes his head.
Yeah. What can you do but shake your head when, very easy to attack. Not so easy to present, some of your own information. Or
billions of examples of fossils.
Information
in the ground. Yeah.
From a brain.
We got billions of fossils in the ground that provide snapshots into the evolutionary history of animals on Earth. They just want to say, no, doesn't count. Doesn't count.
No, doesn't
Jesus.
count. Well,
Jesus.
I always like the Satan plants fossils hypothesis. I think that's one of my favorites.
Most of them don't make that argument, but that did pop up right after, not long after Darwin's theory came out.
You just got, it's a hard day's work being said, and he just goes out there. What can you do? You just gotta bury him. Oh man, a scientist is gonna find this, and they're gonna go, it really looks rational and empirical that we evolved from other life forms.
Well, we don't find any modern human fossils older than a few 100,000 years. And all the things we find before that are distinctly different from modern humans. Why is that? And they're not like any of the other animals we see today either. I don't know.
James, the mystery will be upon us, except for the fact that, no, we use evolution and basically all forms of biology. I'm trying to... Doesn't matter if you're a nurse, doesn't matter if you're a doctor, doesn't matter if you're just drawing blood, dealing with pathogens, evolution. Oh man.
I've never heard that song before, but all right. Did you just ad-lib that?
I did.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I'm here all night, folks. Tip your waitress. And we're sending love to the fantastic Dave Garr, who
Dave Garr.
We are comparing you to the flat earthists. You do not have to believe that it took 6,000 years for Earth to form. Just really the poof model of existence.
Poof.
Bam. Thanks, God.
Doesn't
didn't
make a lot of
explain
sense.
anything. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Oh, when you try to get logistics the other way around, you can spend clearly textbooks, podcasts, lots and lots of time talking about the minutia of evolution from a genetics perspective, from a fossil record perspective, but just try and get some logistics about how God made an animal, any animal.
Magic.
If you believe in magic. In a young deity's heart. Yeah. No. It makes sense. It really does. Ladies and gentlemen, we're using our noggin tonight as we apparently attack the fossil record. And sending love, really.
Hey, King Joker over on Twitch.
He is.
Oh, we're going to be watching a video
of the night because just always looking down on other animals. It's really just trying to separate us out. We're up here. They're down here.
Hey, Dale.
That's how it works. What's up, Dale? And also, the lead hyena of the pack. What is up, Scott Duke?
Cackling like hyenas.
Because
at creationist claims.
They just want to separate us out from other animals. Yeah. Once again, and hyenas always get a bad rap because of the Lion King. I love the Lion King, okay? But hyenas are awesome. Thank you.
Why else do you like them, Amy? Why else do you like them?
Oh my, is it because they have a 15-foot long? And anyway, we also
they're matriarchal.
Oh, they're matriarchal. Sorry, I just had whales phalluses on. That is true. The hyenas are matriarchal, and they are also closer related evolutionarily, just by a little bit, to cats. They get put into the cat kind, the lineage, their lineage,
common ancestor.
then even though they look a little bit like dogs, and that's because higher group carnivore with an A, one of my favorite groups out there. They are fantastic. All predatory animals, very smart. Two of them right behind me. They're so adorable. But we love also the fantastic Regos, who is reminding you to go check out our Bible study. We just cracked open the 5th book of the Bible. We are on Deuteronomy. We're making our way through. Though there's 66, right? Which is crazy.
66 books, yeah.
66 books cobbled together, sewn,
61 to go.
voted on via committee, as you do for a holy document.
Well,
and
the ones that said things they didn't like, they just didn't include those.
I know. Well, as is the inspired word of God. Some inspired word of God gotta go.
It sounds a little too crazy. They didn't make the cut, yeah.
Like, look, we already got them believing this crap back here and this shit over here. So do we really got to feed them something else? They're already believing.
Book of Enoch, going into detail about these giants. Now, you can have vague giants that are unfalsified, but when you give details like Enoch, that had to be cut out of the canon.
And they were talking about giants in the last chapter. Talking about giants. Yeah. What world are we living in? My Lord.
Well, they did a rehashing of that thing like, oh, we sent the scouts in there, and the scouts are scared. They don't want to attack. But we've got God on our side, so we should just attack anyway.
It's true. If you have a God, though, it would be easier if the God just went out there and did that. But that would take, I guess, too much work for the all-powerful deity.
I mean, unless he wanted to do a rehashing of that thing where they hold Moses' arms up so that they can win. Yeah, military tactics. Yeah. I don't know why they don't teach that at West Point. But
I know exactly. Once again, if you just think that we're just non-sequitoring about some fedora hat tip, no. There was a chapter where Moses was told by God, go into battle. As long as you keep your hand held high, you will win. If your hand falters, you will lose. I really just want to make an animation of that. That is so silly.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine, like, it reminds me of, like, Randy Marsh as Moses, just trying to fight to hold his hand. No, I need to keep, oh, God, it's been so hard. And they're all getting stabbed and shit out there, but you got to think about me over here trying to keep my
losing circulation in my hand. You know,
which is a problem I can relate to, James. It's a problem.
Carpal tunnel.
Carpal tunnel. That's right. And last but certainly not least, we are sending love to the fabulous Rachel Holland.
Rachel.
Woo! Reminding us, of course, that the good book would never promote something like slavery. That would be just too much, because they would know thousands of years later, and then schmucks like us would be on a channel pointing out how horrible and horrific it is.
Yeah, but it's the good slavery, Amy. Come on.
It's the good type of slavery. It's a works programs, James.
It's not as bad as you think it was. You atheists try to make it out to be so bad, like kidnapping people and forcing them to work in a foreign land. The threat of violence is so bad. It could be worse, right?
Exactly. Look, they had it coming. They had it coming.
They should have won the battle.
Put that into every stream.
They should have just won the battle, then they wouldn't be slaves, right?
Exactly. Well, exactly. Either win the battle or, don't get caught as you're running away, I guess. Once again, biblical morality. These are things that are objectively true and will never change. I feel we would never even have a war that would be like super civil about it, and we'd have to argue over this.
That would be pretty silly, right?
Would be really silly. Nonetheless, thank
Also,
you all. What is
Comrade
up?
Jerry, Tinkle Tink,
Thank you all out
Skywatcher.
there in the internetosphere. Thank you to all of our Patreons, the mods, and of course, viewers like you who make this channel even possible. And before we get into the opposing view in which we were going to watch a video called The Fossil Record Proves Evolution Debunked from the channel, of course, DeBunked Ministries.
Debunk them.
We have to put the topic in the hot seat. In fact,
Before Amy puts them in the hot seat.
That's right. The fossil record proves evolution debunked, or all right, I'm going to Kitty Overlord.
Yeah, go ahead and
just kind of just
yeah. You just got trained by an animal that poops in a box on the floor.
I always find it funny that when I hear the claims that, they're not drastically, they'll say conscience, but not sentient, they're not having thoughts and all this stuff.
They're not self-aware. They don't have language.
Self-aware. Yet,
100%.
It's sometimes you're not sure who trains who. Nonetheless, the fossil record proves evolution debunked. Or has the fossil record providing substantial evidence for evolution been shown to be wrong? No. In fact, the fossil record alone paints a vivid picture for how the diversity of life came about, allowing us to understand how each organism came to be with each successive strata of rock, which in geology is how these rocks, along with soil and ingus, form into our Earth's surface. We can then begin to map out where each of these organisms came from in their time period, which will depend on what layers of rock the fossil is found, helping us follow successive generations that form lineages, as well as showing us many species that eventually met extinction. We learn this all from... Oh my God. Baby boy, I love you. You got a good day. But say hi, Moonlight. We welcome all kitties. We welcome all puppies. Helping us follow successive generations that form lineages. Helping us follow successive generations that form lineages, as well as showing us many species that eventually met extinction. We learn this all from the hardened or preserved remains of a life form, which we call a fossil. And what we find is a gradual transition from less complex organisms coming from lower levels of strata and more complex organisms coming from higher levels of strata, which is what you would expect from an evolutionary model, and not something that comes from creationism. She doesn't really have a model, but it's why we're having this discussion. Because the key here is there is no debate within the biological community. Evolution is the cornerstone of biology and accepted by the vast majority of theists, atheists, or otherwise. If you get these science deniers in a room and give them a dozen skulls of humans, apes, and our ancestors, and ask them to put them into two groups, they all seem to know right away which few skulls are ape and which is man. Yet the fighting comes about the gradient of skulls left behind. Almost none of them can agree what a half dozen other skulls should go and where. So when someone says the fossil record proves evolution is debunked, I have to wonder, is it just another excuse to look down on other animals? Either way, my suggestion to them would be to get their butts back in a lab and instead of attacking evolution and the fossil record, provide data for their own theory. Thank you. And all right, what about you, James? Are you evolving into a fossil record here?
Yeah, we're transitioning in that direction, but we're all transitional fossils essentially. We just haven't died yet to be formed. But yeah, so I found this video today, and you guys are helping me prepare for my debate with Ken Hovind, which I have next month on the 11th. So during that period of time, I'm going to be focusing more on biology, try to get myself prepared for that debate. So appreciate the help you guys are going to give by getting your feedback. And yeah, I saw this video today and I thought, yeah, these guys deserve to be in Amy's hot seat. And I think you guys will understand why shortly. Yeah, they deserve it. They've got it coming.
They have it coming.
Give it to them.
And all right, with that, we are going to hear from the opposing view, or rather, the fossil record proves evolution debunked. Done.
Hey, David Neff.
Done. See if I can. It's thinking. It wants to.
It's thinking.
Clever girl. There we go. Oh, what is this? Yeah. Ha ha ha.
Your Pornhub almost came up.
I know.
This is Debunked TV.
Amen.
What is truth? Shabam. There it is. The big kahuna, the spicy enchilada.
Shabam.
The lifting drink.
And I will say,
they are two different
Absolutely.
What I do like about some of their stuff in here is their graphics. Whoever's doing the graphics,
production value is good.
Fantastic. And what it makes me want to do is create some non-believer motion graphics.
Which is basically subjective.
Yeah.
This is not an evidence problem.
This is a worldview thing.
No fossilized eyeball. Trust me.
This is DeBunked TV. Welcome to DeBunked TV. I'm Bub Coons, Carl Corby, right there. How goes it?
As always, I'm a blessed man.
You are a blessed man.
Yeah.
And we're about to do a talk that I think is going to bless lots of other people. We are in a series on this whole concept of evolution.
Are you blessed, Andy?
Abilities of it.
I'm so
Last week, or
blessed.
the last episode, we covered critical thinking, how to just parse through some of the information and headlines and stuff that you see in textbooks and look at them critically and come up with your own point of view after you weigh
Yeah,
the
that's the
evidence
other thing.
and the words.
You mean
Time.
you read what all the experts say, and you should come up with your own point of view. I mean, right off the bat, not that the experts are always right or that you can't question them, but to just think that you could just brush whatever they think off and just come up with your own point of view when you don't know shit about the topic is pretty arrogant.
And that's the other thing. These guys are attacking textbooks. They are attacking mainstream geology, biology. They're attacking mainstream science.
I mean, would you attack Michio Kaku or Neil deGrasse Tyson on physics? Obviously, that would be dumb because they know way more about physics than you or me ever will.
Dumb.
Yeah, that would be pretty dumb. You would be wrong about nearly all 100% of the time.
And yet they do.
The comparative study of living animals and plants may give very convincing circumstantial evidence. Fossils provide the only historical, documentary evidence that life has evolved from simpler to more and more complex forms. That's what we're going to explore. And like our Proverbs verse, seems good, seems right, till you cross-examine
the
it.
other side.
But we're going to hit it pretty hard right now with an overview.
He's going to hit it hard, Amy.
As usual, you can get all of our
my.
videos at
Now he's starting to talk my
getdebunked.com.
language.
Free all the time. This is number 16. Fossils prove evolution. Really?
Yeah, really, they do.
Yes.
We've unearthed millions of fossils around the world. So with all this evidence, so to speak, it's clear that the fossil record proves evolution, right? Well, actually, no. Didn't when Darwin was alive and hasn't since he's been gone. In fact, Chucky...
I love that little thing in there. Actually, it has been proven since he was dead, and it was already leaning in that direction when Darwin, the natural philosophers of his day, were looking at the subject.
D himself knew this when he wrote the following. Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain, and this, perhaps, is the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory.
When did Darwin die?
The reason lies, as I believe, in the extreme imperfection of the geological record. Okay, but surely after all the time since Darwin, digging and discovering fossil after fossil, we have a more perfect geological record that supports evolution, right? Not
Absolutely.
Yes.
even
Absolutely.
close. Listen to how two renowned evolutionary biologists summarize the truth.
Also,
Quote,
it took me a little while to realize who he was quoting. Some of these quotes, he quotes atheists and known people who defend evolution. So funny how they twist people's words. Exactly.
Smooth and progressive changes, they saw in the fossil record rapid bursts of change, new species appearing.
No, that's not true. Once again, that's your misinterpretation of the Cambrian explosion, which happened a million years. It's always the Cambrian explosion when they're talking about this. It's never anything else.
Because that is rapid, evolutionarily speaking, in terms of time scales, but it's nothing even close to a 6-day creation. It's totally cats and dogs, literally.
Seemingly out of nowhere, and then remaining unchanged for millions of years. Patterns haunting
there's reason for that.
Creation. The fossil record doesn't show gradual
Here's
change.
evolution.
Every paleo.
Look who he's quoting. This is just by irony. I was checking this out. He's quoting Stephen Jay Gould. Just, if you want to know who he's trying to... Yeah, exactly.
Quote mine.
Archaeologist has known that ever since Cuvier, or however you pronounce that. Okay, I could go on, but there's always going to be opposing views because on both sides of the debate, the same evidence is interpreted.
No two sides of the debate. There is a side that is correct, and there is a side that's wrong.
Interpreted through different worldviews. You got to remember that, people.
Not a worldview.
Facts don't say anything. People say things based on their interpretation of facts, influenced by their worldview. But that's a whole
what is the saying? You're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts.
Indeed.
And you can have your own opinion about it, but the facts are the facts. And the dishonesty that a lot of these creationists go to push their distortion of reality and their distortion of the facts is amazing.
Indeed. Well, it's dishonest in that they are starting from their conclusion and working backwards.
And it's obvious that that's so, that they obviously are just looking at evolution, trying to poke holes in it, trying to find a way to cast doubt on it. They're not trying to understand it. They're just trying to debunk it. And in doing so,
if
they're
they were
not even doing a good job.
They would actually present their own model.
fun. And take a look at some popular secular articles and charts on the fossil record and see if we can learn to separate.
Man, do I hate their misrepresentation of basically all of the graphs that they're about to show.
Facts from interpretation of facts by asking a few simple questions. Question 1. Did the artiste take any artistic license with what I'm looking at here? Check this out, because this happens all the time. Look, isn't that sweet? So cute and fluffy. Okay, why do you think the artist made these creatures appear more human-like?
Cute and fluffy. What is that? That kind of actually goes contradiction to what you're about to say. I like how you just made like what I assume you think is an ape-like gesture, and then now you're going to talk about human-like features. Man, they can't even help themselves.
By throwing in an affectionate smile and depicting them hanging out like a human family going to a picnic or something. Why did he draw them walking upright? Why make the shapes and colors of their eyes?
Many other animals besides us have family units. Man, okay,
why would they draw them like they're an intermediate species between a common ancestor and humans if they are? I mean,
the
fact that they're being depicted as what they are, I get it that they don't like it, but is reality.
Unfortunately for them.
Based on actual fossil evidence? Of course not. But if you want the story of evolution to appear more convincing, you just might.
Oh, they made the ape smile. They made Homo habilis or Homo heidelbergensis, whichever Homo it was. They made him smile.
That's me.
And it's triggering it's triggering them because the artist put a smile on their face to make them look happy.
Well, it reminds me of when we get like a incomplete model and of a fossil, and so we then complete the model or like one side with the other, and then they freak out because they're like, you just completed the model. It's like, yes, this is just the other bits from the things that we've actually collected. We've actually gathered data from here, 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 and here, and we were actually able to
like the first Lucy skeleton they found, but then when they found more, they might not have found any one that was a complete skeleton intact. But if you find a bunch of them, you probably find every bone somewhere in the mix. But that early period, there is some artistic license on these pictures, and no scientist is saying these pictures are artistic representations are 100% accurate, or that you could.
Well, there's a reason for that also. I hate to break it to these fellows, but many of our ancestors, in fact, by definitionally, they're dead. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for these people, but it's like, these are the same people that are like, go find me a picture of a dinosaur. And it's like, you know what? Go find Jesus coming back from the dead.
Just saying. Question 2. Is the attention-grabbing headline or title supported by actual facts? For instance, take a look at this popular book.
Once again, attacking people who support evolution.
Called Why Evolution is True. We don't even have to go any further than the jacket on this one, because on it you got a dino evolving into a bird in 3 simple
dinosaurs are birds.
steps. There you go. But then on the inside, This is written, and I kid you not. The jacket depicts a chronological sequence of fossils showing the evolution of birds. We do not know whether the actual line of descent included, now wait for it, the first three.
I would like to, first of all, I find it interesting not showing what this is.
Say what now? Doesn't that mean these three shouldn't be on the cover then? Which means
No,
all you got is a
really
modern
don't know
bird,
what
right?
you're
No
saying.
evolution, just a bird. Talk about worldview filling in gaps. On to question 3. What do the graphics on evolutionary charts indicate? I mean, they sure do look convincing. For instance, on this one from the dinosaur book, you got solid red columns and white columns showing gradual progression over time. But let's read the almost imperceptible 2-point font over here. It reads, tinted areas indicate solid fossil evidence, which means the white areas represent no.
So what he's about to do is take away the guides that the people with expertise have put in for normal lay people, and he's about to remove them.
No solid fossil evidence, right? Okay, then take them away.
This is what the actual graph would look like. And what it is saying is that these lived in these periods, and there are overlapping magisteria that we can connect their ancestral root. That is what that is saying, which you can then draw the branches to.
What they're whining about is the fact that we don't have an example of every single intermediate species ever. And no, we don't. But you can use a little bit of ingenuity and common sense, and you can tell where a species is going, even if you don't have every single step along the way. It would be nice to have every single extant species of every single step, but in reality, you're just not always going to get that. But we do have a clear progression. Exactly. And we have DNA. Well, we know how evolution takes place.
I tried really hard. Originally I talked about genetics in my opening statement, and I was like, it shouldn't need it for this. Like, genetics is the linchpin. Genetics and the fossil record are two different data points, which once again converge on one empirical thing. But the fossil record, I mean, honestly, looking at bone structure from a lay perspective, looking at the other great apes, if you just don't see it, I feel like that's more a you problem. Like, at this level, we teach kindergartners. I mean,
exactly, X Music. Every species is intermediate because what's taking place today is what's taking place exactly the same all throughout history. Reproduction with variation through mutation being acted upon by the environment. That's it. If you had nothing else but that, over time, you would have evolution. That's all that it takes. You don't need anything else. Reproduction with variation and the environmental selection and time. That's it.
Yeah. And they can't understand, I hate to say deep time, they just don't understand time. Anything longer than their own generation, everything just seems to poof. It seems very triggering to say that, yes, we have 10,000 years of written history, but we have 90,000 to 190,000 years of human Homo sapien ancestors that lived, breathed, and died so that we can look at our cell phones. And I ain't hating on the technology that we created. I'm just saying, please, if you are going to give lip service to tradition and our ancestors and just all of these sorts of family values, please have respect for the family that died so that you could be here. Literally, that we have evidence, and we have evidence for them.
Yeah.
Woohoo! What's up, Pat? Sending love. And if you just joined us, we are watching the Fossil Record Proves Evolution Debunked, where apparently a group of Christians, and I hate when they do this, I really do, try and put basically Christianity up against evolution, which it's not. It's really not, but they try. Oh, do they try?
Hauntingly reminiscent of creation, I'd say, right from their own charts. And the same thing goes for the dotted lines on this one. Look at all of them. Just so we're clear, dotted lines indicate zero evidence. Remove them, and what do you get?
That's
not zero evidence. That's not what it says.
It means they weren't alive. They stopped living. God.
The dotted line, it doesn't mean no evidence. It just might not be as much evidence as the other line. It doesn't mean nothing. And that's the thing with science. They will come out and tell you exactly what they have great evidence for, what the evidence is not so great for. They're open about it. They're not telling you they have more than what they have, but what we do have is a lot, and it does provide evidence of animals evolving from less complex to more complex over time. It's clearly demonstrated.
I think James was telling me this as we were prepping for the show. What does it is that the level of confidence matched with the ignorance.
Yeah.
Like it's the only way it would work, is that you have to be so confident in the silliness that you just kind of just keep on smiling and working your way through it. How could it possibly be any other way?
Even though you don't know a damn thing that you're talking about.
Or evidence of gradual progression. A bat is a bat, a kangaroo is a kangaroo, and a horse is a horse. Of course, unless, of course, the horse is Mr. Ed. Look, people, all I'm saying here is if you got facts, come on. If you don't, leave them out. But don't draw downright dubious.
Which I like they're trying to make a joke in there, but really, they just gave you their thesis. If they had to present a thesis in what is coming, it's going to be an ape is an ape, a human, a donkey, a donkey. That really is their thesis. How it got here, I don't know. God did it or something. I don't know. Poof, 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 poof.
Staff, dare I declare, dunderheaded dotted lines of deliberate
like
deception,
graphics,
dogmatically and
someone's been
doodled
working
to
in
disguise
After
definitive
Effects.
data? No. Just admit what you actually see. Overwhelming evidence of living things, according to their kinds, suddenly appearing, which, as a reminder, is exactly what the Bible teaches. Now, I don't even have time to get into documentaries. All I ask is that you use the same line of questioning.
That would actually be evidence of creationism if it really was just looking like animals were just like poofing.
The fact that we have 99% of the animals that we've ever found in the fossil record are extinct. They're not here today. What does that tell you? It tells you that the animals alive today represent just a small percentage of the animals that have ever lived on Earth. What happened to the rest of them? I mean, I don't know what these guys. Well, I think we know where they're going with this, but
no, they make complete sense.
They're trying to say that we don't have a complete fossil record. That our lack of knowledge is an excuse for their ignorance, and it's an excuse for them to prop up Bronze Age myths and cling to fables that have no evidence whatsoever because they like it, and it tells them that they get to live forever. So,
and they also like taking pot shots at science, because what they'd like to do is say, look, we all believe things on faith, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, no, we don't.
No.
D. Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain. Not then, not now, not ever. And that means the whole idea that
Not
the fossil
ever.
record
I
proves
love all those
evolution has
sorts of
been
claims.
debunked. Adios.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
And
Well, thanks for
just-
keeping
just
on
go
theme.
home
I
after
can always
that.
appreciate that.
They're getting.
Once again,
we're
I
hitting
like
some
their
subjects that are
stage.
rubbing some
I'm
people
not going to hate
wrong
there.
and making some
Great
people happy.
setup.
Yeah.
And this is a
Just
worldview
wasted
thing,
because they're
and where your
chilling
worldview
for
is
the
also set
invisible
your
dude in the
eternity
sky.
and your morality, and so it can be
Absolutely.
abrasive when you say, all this stuff you thought you knew,
Right.
and all these people were studying, you were fooled.
Yeah, I've been called names that I didn't even know existed, man. It's been very interesting to see.
Niffle,
things that we put up, and now the comments below, like, whoa.
Ripple,
We just got enemies by trying to just tell people to think
yeah,
and
it's like
share
dolphin
scripture
fish.
with them.
Look at these things. That's the bottom line of what we're saying.
Yeah.
So, but you know what I find, it's easier to.
No, the bottom line of what they're saying is that all modern scientists are dumb. They don't know what they're talking about. They're dumb. And my book from the Bronze Age got it right. This heavily edited compilation of the vain babblings of a particular tribe of nomadic goat herders in the Levant actually got biology right. Modern science doesn't know shit. That's what they're trying to say.
James, once again, are you really going to go trust doctors and scientists and these medical professionals? Are you going to trust, the guy saying a dude came back to life after 3 days of decomposition? Which sounds more logical?
A book written by people who didn't even know about DNA. They didn't even know about anything. I'm not saying that I'm not hating on them, because they were just guessing like everybody did back then. But we have evidence today. We don't have to rely on myths. We don't have to rely on fables.
Yep. We can rely on empirical data.
Yeah. So, and I like that we stick right in there. It's not about the person. It's
Name
about
babbling.
the ideology,
Right.
and it's about exploring that, which we're going to do this whole episode.
Right.
Is talk about the fossil record.
Yes.
And the charts that we didn't make these charts up.
Nope.
Other people made these
We
charts
can
up
tell.
and drew them, and we're going to get right into it. We
don't understand them, but we're going to.
There it is.
There's
But they're
one.
sure going to try and
We said we're
debunk
gonna
them.
Talk about this.
Like, if you can't see right now, we have single cells. It's the branch of life. You have bacteria over here giving rise to mitochondria. You have over here a second time with bacteria giving rise to chloroplasts.
Algae.
I mean, this is, I hate to be scary, because this is like the scariest thing you could say on the news, but this is what they're teaching your children. So this is what they are teaching in every medical school. And so it concerns me when people attack the cornerstones of our modern sciences and have really nothing to show for it.
Now I get it from one perspective that biology, evolution, it's hard. It's complicated. Charts like this, it's putting very complicated things in something that's somewhat easy to digest, but it's still complicated. It's a lot more complicated than God just poofing animals out of nothing. That takes somebody with an IQ of a jar of mayonnaise could understand that. So I get it if you want to keep things simple, but that's just not reality.
Indeed.
The whole episode. Here we go.
Well, you start down at the bottom, Bub. See, it's very simple.
Yep.
You start with a single cell, and then given enough time, right circumstances, you get everything that you see up there. But there's just one problem.
What's that?
You get all the life stuff up there.
That is an outdated chart, Bub.
Let's update it.
We need to update it.
There it is.
There's the new chart. And do you notice?
He doesn't understand this one either. And let's see that chart either. Just
Chart,
'cause-
Bub.
Let's update it.
We need to update it.
All right.
There it is.
There.
I don't understand. It's once again just
It's
showing.
kind of like, what do you mean science changes? Like they had a chart and now they updated the chart. They changed it. There's more data. But you notice how this chart is more complicated than the last one? It's because they got more data and they incorporated more data into the chart.
And you can actually
it's
tell
more
it
descriptive.
builds off the last one now that I'm saying. You could see the skeleton of the last one, that this is just built upon it with more data that has come in.
Right. More information. It's more complicated, but at the base, it's very similar.
Exactly.
There's the new chart. And do you notice anything different about the chart?
I don't know. Do you want to
There's a
explain
bunch
it
of
for us?
differences, but the major is
this thing at the bottom here. Common ancestral community of primitive cells.
Yeah.
Common ancestral community. Well, I thought it was one.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they can look at this and they're like, oh, the big letters at the bottom, which I'm fine. Look, I'm humans. I eat Hot Pockets too. Just work with me here, please, creationists.
We went from the single cell, brother. We got a family of cells
so
now.
they all popped up somehow.
That's kind of interesting to me. We don't know how in the world we got the first cell to evolve.
We got
a whole
generation of
cells
and then they all become something else.
God.
And notice all the crossover back and forth on this chart here, guys. This chart is not showing you.
It's almost
that
like these
one
genes
thing
are
turned
drifting.
into something else. As a minimum, it's
Call
showing you
it
that a
something like
family
that.
turned into how you get if you can't get an individual
What?
to evolve, you get a family to evolve.
It's just like
You
just
mean
a
it
bad-
doesn't start at a biogenesis? It starts a little later than that? Maybe that's what they're bitching about and moaning about?
Also, I'm not going to let that joke go. I want to hear that all for
Go.
everyone to enjoy.
If you can't get an individual to evolve, how do you get a family to evolve?
It's just like just a bad GPS system. That's all.
No, it's not. Continue.
It's complicated. It's complicated. It's hard. It's not easy to understand. Oh. Wouldn't it be a lot simpler if God just said, poof, rabbit, poof, hamster, poof, horse? That's easy.
James, now we're talking science. That sounds like things I can fit in here. We're doing good.
Poof, 15-foot whale dick.
Woo.
Looks like to me, it's a mess.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm sure it'll make sense.
No,
to
it's
someone,
not.
but in a
You're
few
just
years,
not
we
actually looking at it. Okay.
switched from one common ancestor to a community of primitive cells, and that's the
Remember?
important thing to think about. And I think
Yes. Can we just please appreciate, as Pat says, this is what they are teaching in college level courses. Please, if you don't want to be in the medical field, then just kindly
If you don't want
walk
to be
your
a geneticist,
way out. You don't have to believe in evolution. No one's forcing you. Nonetheless, this is where the academic consensus lies. It's not an argument ad populum. It is not, because science isn't a democracy. It is not just a bunch of people voting. It is people really consistently putting their model forward while everyone else tries to prove them wrong. And
Norfolk
through
with a
that
one line.
process, we drill down to reality. Yeah, I know. Look,
She likes their set. She's not hating on their set. No.
exactly. Not hate.
you're going to go through a bunch of stuff now and explore all these charts that I grew up seeing.
Yep, me too.
Right, and I always like.
We learned this in elementary school.
We could all work together.
I'm
God
sorry
did
it didn't
something
stick.
through evolution, and now that
Don't know
I
what to
find
say.
theistic evolution, which we may cover one day, is can be easily debunked too. But how do we
Easily debunked.
This
Easily.
is the real stuff that
Yes, it
people
is.
are putting together and drawing charts, and let's go for
I
it.
say go for it. This is the chart
Dig
that
on
started
in.
me off on this whole
Go. And you
Urology
wagered for it.
dinosaur data book, and it's the dinosaur family tree. I'm the same as you, Bub.
Yeah.
I was just raised with you see these things. And
Yeah.
my
Well-
first Sunday school teacher, after I got saved, after I became a
Really?
Christian, taught me
After?
you take evolution, you put it in the Bible, God used it, God directed it, and there's no
Yeah,
problems.
yeah.
So
And
I,
we
Yeah,
once again,
he was trying to guide you down the path of sanity.
I just want to offer a heart out to all of those sane theists out there that have religion over here and science over here and aren't trying to make them fight each other.
They only defend untestable claims. If the claim can be tested, they won't defend it. If it's untestable, they'll tell you, yeah, you have to believe it by blind faith. But
You just gotta have blind faith, James. Just gotta believe. Jump off
I
that
mean,
ledge.
we can't disprove it.
I looked at this chart and I was like, okay, God directed it. But
Didn't-
before you sign anything, what should you do, Bub?
I think you should like Oh, my mom told me just like the fine print. Study the fine print.
Read the
right?
fine print. So when I'm doing this, in
That's
an
what
audience,
we're
I say,
doing
okay, can you all read
tonight.
the fine print? And everybody's like, no.
They read the fine print on the Bible.
See, it's real fine print. So
They read the sources on the Bible.
and then have them read it. And
But here's
Index.
We literally are looking at a guide, like a key, and I'm like, key, doesn't even points out stuff that's not. Why would you put stuff on there that's not there? Look at the other stuff. Literally look at.
I mean, this is something put together to help lay people understand, not to help professors and doctors and professional biologists. And this is to help people like us grasp these incredibly complicated concepts. And it's actually put together in an easily digestible way that lay people can understand, so that even us who are not biologists can still have at least some understanding of biology and understand how animals got to be the way they are today.
Yep, but that doesn't seem to have stuck.
Yeah.
we were talking about even earlier. It's sometimes you think these people must be doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because why is the tiniest thing the most important thing over there? Okay, tinted areas indicate
maybe it was cold
the real
outside.
fossil record.
Yep. Solid fossil evidence is the
Why leave that off?
areas.
Yeah, the tinted areas.
It's an interesting point, and it's one that I believe
Not
that there
really.
are those that this is just all they know. I was one.
Yeah.
It's all I knew. Then there are those that know.
I like how both of them are like, I believed everything they taught me in the STEM K through 12 education system. Yes, please. Thank you. At least someone is.
Yeah.
Working.
$1
There
well
is
spent.
absolutely some
Ken
deception
Hogan's
going
tax
on.
dollars.
And these kind of things make you
Okay.
lean you to believe that there's serious deception
Yeah.
going on. But I'm like, okay, this is your chart. Let me take a look at it. And what does it say? Tinted areas. So I'm a simple guy. I really am. Tinted areas are red areas.
We
So the
believe
red
you.
is fact.
Yep.
What's that mean about the white stuff?
It's not fact.
Which means
What's that mean about the white stuff, Amy?
And last time,
It's a myth. Yeah.
it's
yeah,
a
it's,
fable. And by the way,
Fable.
That
Funny.
is something we can't
That's
have.
so ironic.
James, could you imagine these gentlemen? Hold on, let me just go back 1 second.
Worse than we did last
it's a
time.
myth.
Can you imagine these gentlemen here believing a fable? I just couldn't
No.
wrap my head around it. A
These guys,
mythology?
these skeptics, their standard of evidence is so high, they would never just pick up a book from the Bronze Age and just arbitrarily choose to believe it, no matter what it says, right?
That would be silly.
Because their parents handed it to them and said, "Hey, read this; it's true." And they said, "Oh, okay," and they just ran with it.
But I hate to be like that chica, but did you know a book said a thing?
A book
It did.
did say a thing. It did.
Therefore, I don't know about this whole evolution thing.
Seems pretty sus.
Seems
Is that
pretty
how they
sus.
say it? Yeah.
Is that how the Zoomers say it? The millennials and Zoomers?
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
a
it's,
fable. And by the way, they will be turned from the truth and chase after a fable. And these are fables.
Once again, people who believed that a man who was born of a virgin that lived a perfect life died, resurrected 3 days after decomposition. I really can't let that decomposition thing go because, we're talking biology. And then came back to life. Funny enough, didn't stick around for a while. No. He boop right back up there so no one could see him. Funny how that works.
Yeah. 500 witnesses, though. 500 saw him. We have one record of it.
And I just see, is Jen, are you asking the DeBunked Adam? Is that this thing right here? I wonder if that's their little icon there, the Debunked Adam.
Oh, House of Comments out there. Poor House of Comments. Science of the gaps. Yeah. There's the problem with that is science is running out of gaps for you to hide your
my
God in.
problem is that House of Comments, don't you believe in evolution? I mean, I hate to just like the last podcast. I know it would be terrible that you may agree with us, but you may agree with us.
That would be a traumatic
experience
for him.
If you believe evolution is true, I mean, I got a comfy seat right back.
I mean, that's just one thing you're not wrong about. So you can be right about something. You don't have to be wrong about everything.
That's right. Come on, Team Skeptic. We got this. Oh, it's on the wall in the back. Yeah.
Fables, guys. These are fables. What this actually shows is when you get rid of the fable, when you get rid of the white stuff, shows that an apatosaur was always an apatosaur, an ankylosaur was always an ankylosaur, a pachycephalosaur was always a pachycephalosaur.
There you go. A monkey's a monkey, an alligator's an alligator, a bird's a bird. We're back to their main hypothesis.
Yeah.
So this chart actually shows that one thing stayed, one thing never changed from or into anything else.
Basically, it's
that
a tautology.
Seems to line right up beautifully with Scripture.
Isn't that
kind
what
after
God
kind.
said?
Yeah, every time.
Now, we have to look deeper at this chart, though, because take a look. You see this yellow area down here?
Yeah.
That band right there, according to the evolutionary model, which we need to know better than the world. We don't need to run and hide from this stuff.
Yep.
30 million years of time. But notice how much white stuff is in there, how much change.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you thought that I wouldn't make a joke about, all that white stuff all over there, you were wrong.
Yeah, they should know you better than that.
Oh, baby.
Had to take place for this thing to work.
Tons of it. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
look at that.
All of it.
And then
Jesus
the
is
next
my
band
yoga
is 70
teacher.
million years. The
It's
band over that's
fantastic.
80 million years. So things change like crazy. I mean, left, right, and all over.
Yes, you get new data. Things change. Once again, you can see the different strata. I really don't understand what they don't get. That's what I'm having a hard time.
What they're conflating is they don't like the idea that, like, look, there's a species and it remained very stable for a long period of time. It didn't evolve, it stayed the same. And that happens because when a species is highly adapted to its environment, like the American alligator is an apex predator in the southeastern United States. It is highly evolved to survive in its environment. So you're not going to see lots of changes because almost any significant change would make it less able to survive. It would be out of the gene pool. So rapid changes, major changes happen when you have major catastrophes, environmental upheavals that flip the script so that now the main part of the species can't survive, and maybe only a few that have a select mutation will survive in the gene pool, and then you have actual change, demonstrable change, but that doesn't happen all the time. If the environment is static for a long time, you can expect the species to be static too.
Well, what they don't understand is that when you got a good model, you work with it. The reason that an alligator is considered almost a living fossil is because that model has been so freaking successful. It works. They are a decent predatory apex predator.
Apex predator. Nothing preys on them in their natural environment. They are the top of the food chain. They don't need to change.
That's right. Hey, I mean, I love everybody, and so I'm sending the love back. I don't think anyone who is dead loves me. I think only living people love me, but I mean, I am sending love out into the universe.
You love.
That's right. Well, that is one of my biggest. My problem with deism, I just don't understand a mind that doesn't have a physical substrate. That is to say, a body. And then my problem with theism is just a personal relationship. Any God that wants to have a mind and thus wants to take that one step further and has to have a personal relationship needs to exist. Like, they need to exist. They need to be empirically provable. I find that any God that can't should not be qualified as all-powerful, and that should be right from the get-go. I mean, it could be that there's a God that we exists, and there is no empirical evidence we'll ever find from it. I just don't think that's a God that's empirically provable.
It's non-falsifiable.
Non-falsifiable. And yeah, I will say, Apricot Sloth, the Cambrian explosion seems to really trigger these guys and guys like them. And once again, for those not familiar with the Cambrian explosion, it is where a quick amount of evolutionary change happened over a period of 13 to 25 million years. So, you know, as long as it takes to get through Wendy's drive-thru.
Million years.
Yes, millions.
Not 6 days.
Not 6 days.
30 million years. But then for 150 million years, they didn't change. That's it. I
the environment was static. They didn't need to change.
I just want to go back 20 years, bub. If we go back 20 years,
I forgot what I looked like
good
20 years ago.
Bro.
Yeah.
I don't need 150 million. I
want to go back.
Once again, their ability to not understand time. What they're basically saying is, whoa, millions of years. I wish I could go back 20 years. Yes. Think past your own lifetime. Think past your parents and grandpa, please.
Well, it's like when Ken Hovind says, "Young Earth, 6,000's old." I mean, 160 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was running around. 6,000's old Earth. Well, maybe to a human time scale, but in terms of evolution, no, 6,000 is barely anything.
Yep, drop in the bucket.
To being able to do 20 push-ups. Yeah, I don't care about 20 years. But
so that chart, when we look
they want to do push-ups for you, Amy.
Actually supports the word of
now
God.
We're starting to talk my language.
And they always will, right?
Absolutely.
It goes back to it. But I mean, there's some common objections to this. It's because, and here's the thing. It's like, there's people now, professor scientists saying it's evolved to its maximum.
Right.
So therefore it stops. So
not maximum.
Perfection before they stop. And
it's just well suited for its environment.
Didn't see anything. You saw all of the change at the beginning, but what is that really saying now?
See, I love it because it's the same way that they had theories on punctuated equilibrium. A lizard goes in the egg, a bird comes out.
We can't explain it the time, so we just invent something that helps us get there.
There has to be some explanation to point to the fact that
there has to be some explanation, like a deity.
It didn't happen.
Right? They just showed that card right there.
We wouldn't just make up an explanation. That would be silly.
The God of the gap and going, well, we just go back to the Lord. That's how he made it. And yet they have 70 years of.
Just go back to the Lord. That's how he made it. Actually, that's not an explanation. You're telling us who made it. How? Again, exactly?
Magic.
And they know that there has to be reasons for each one of those transitions, but they just go, well, it didn't. So let me invent a word or a term like punctuated equilibrium, and that ought to just do it.
Let me try to come up with a hypothesis that explains reality, right?
Once again, yes.
That's how science works. You come up with a hypothesis.
What I mean, though. The balls to say that they just created a term like punctuated equilibrium. Like, okay. Doctors over here. Clearly both doctors, I assume.
They're just making shit up.
By the way, we find things in the fossil record that they date, not me. They date 300 and 400 million years old.
Yeah.
And they're exactly the same as what we see today.
Yeah.
But here's another thing we have to pay attention to, because those charts, not only will they do like that, the different colored line there, the tinted net, there's another trick here. Watch. You see the dashed lines? This supposedly shows that you start with a jawless fish on the far left over there. You start with that jawless fish, and then boom, given enough time, it turns into everything.
A mammal.
I like how he's like, boom. Actually, no, it's not like boom. It's like, did you notice how it's like here and then here and then you go here and then you go here to here and then you go here to here to here and then here to here to here and then here to here to here to here to here to here. That's not quite what he said, was it?
Each change is very small, like from the last place from its ancestor, very small.
Hey.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how, like...
Oh, thanks, House of Comments.
I know, I saw that, and that's why I said, hey. And hey, we will always... freedom of speech is such a... It almost sounds like, at this point, it almost sounds like a politically correct phrase. But we are for everyone's speech. We are trying...
You like them? Sub to them.
If you like them, sub to them. We'll always let them shill. You know, we shill on here. We would like you to like and subscribe here, sending love out into the internet. And if you like what they have to say, go like and subscribe there. We love all the people that we put on here in the platonic, you know, crack a beer, break bread sense. And it's just an intellectual debate, especially when it comes to theism versus atheism. I would say where things get a little shady is that sometimes, especially on the person, like a Ken Hovind or stuff, they affect policy and textbooks, and they are actually dangerous.
And dishonest. Now, I don't know these guys. I've never seen anything from them before this video. They may be just good guys. They're definitely wrong about this, but I don't know them well enough to ascribe any ill intent or any bad motives. They could just be well-meaning. They could believe what they're saying. They're just wrong. I think that their faith probably gives them that aura of confidence that they can go out and debunk all of modern biology by hanging their hat on the Bible. It's foolish, but faith does that kind of thing when you have absolute certainty in a book from the Bronze Age that says God did it with magic.
And just a reminder, we will show any comments on the screen within TOS standards. Help us find them by tagging James W. or myself at Amy Newman in chat. And we also will say hi to everyone, at least for the first time they come in. Just saying, love to SS1964 says, people like the Bible for racist reasons, like it teaches all women are slaves and misogynist. Love that. Yeah, the Bible really doesn't have a lot of good things to say on the feminine side of our species, I will say. They really take pot shots at just women, and then not exactly race, but they condone slavery. But besides that, it's fine. Besides that,
they certainly promote tribalism, which I get would be able to say is probably at the root of racism, is the idea of tribalism, and that there's us and then there's them, and we're good and they're bad because they're not us.
Exactly. Just gotta have a little bit of tribalism. Never hurts anybody.
Except the people it hurts.
Except the people it hurts. Woo-hoo. Thank you so very much. In fact, House of Comments says, you are one of the few skeptics that will not time us out. We do the sane of our panels, all voices welcome. And hey, we really do like hearing from all views, because I mean, an echo chamber is not only dangerous, but it's boring. Nobody wants to be in that. And so we're sending love to everybody out there.
If you need to silence everybody who disagrees with you, then are you really confident in your position? If you can't deal with a dissenting voice, or you can't deal with any pushback,
it ends up just helping whoever you're trying to silence, because people just become curious of the person. They go, oh, there must be something there, or else why would they be trying to get rid of them? And generally, you know, if a view is good, it will stand the test of others, of science, of the marketplace of ideas. Speaking of which, if you just joined us, we are Skeptic and Ranting on the Fossil Record Proves Evolution Debunked.
But we actually wish we could get more theist Christians to come in and talk with their views about it.
I'm going to have to do a second call out. I'm not going to, if you know, you know, because it was on a very misty channel. There was a very misty channel out there who is a theist.
Wispy.
Yes, very wispy. And in his comments was a gentleman who is allergic to women. It's sad. I hate to have such an allergy. He just completely breaks out into a terrible human being. But he literally will not talk with them. But he had the balls, the audacity to sit there and be like, there are no atheist channels that will pin their link in the chat and dare Christians. It's always their denomination. Muslims or whoever else can come on too. But no Christians can join. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Please.
Come to her.
Please. Exactly. Make it hot for mama.
Actually, that's like the most intellectually stimulating conversations is when you do have somebody that disagrees with you come on. And you can have that discussion. You can refine your beliefs. You can learn new perspective, and you can kind of sharpen your blade in the war of ideas. And you might not convince them. They might not convince you, but you'll probably learn something, and they'll probably learn something. Hey, that's why we're here.
Indeed. That's why we're here, and one of the two of us is queer. And with that, we are going to move forward also with Brian Stevens, who says, send in love. He says Amy Newman is the best having discussions and bringing others in for discussions. She actually had a respectful discussion with Gavin. I thought it was impossible. Oh, I love Gavin. Gavin, are you having a good time down there? He's having a fantastic time down there.
He's got more than a mouthful down there.
Oh, boy, does he. But no, I actually had a good debate on Praise I Am's channel. We should probably invite Praise and Gavin on here more often. But we're always looking for more theists. We're trying to
Most of them would rather stick their ball sack in a beehive than come in here.
Well, they hate this combination of words, but I guess they would rather stay in their safe spaces.
Yeah.
I'm so edgy.
So edgy.
What? Dash lines? Guess what the dash lines mean?
Fables. Yes. Nothing.
Fables. No, it doesn't. It means this is what we're trying to say so stupid people can understand it.
No evidence.
So evidence is...
Not no evidence, just not as much as the other.
One thing stayed one thing, never changed from or into anything else.
Exactly. Every gap has none of the things. So,
which, by the way, if God did what he said that he did, the way that he said that he did,
then
that's what I should find.
Yeah.
There's another
That's what you
trick.
did find.
No?
Yeah,
we found that.
we did.
If God did what he did, then we would find that 99% of the fossils that we find in the dirt are animals that exist today. That's what we would find. In 6,000 years, you're not going to have 99% of the animals that God created go extinct. That's that's asinine to say something like that.
James, how are they all going to evolve into a human then? Isn't that what they're trying to do? I mean, the other apes are almost there. Gosh.
In 6,000, how many animals have gone extinct versus in the past 6,000? Now, we are losing too many animals, and that is an issue, but it's not 99%. Come on.
These people don't give up. I understand that the save the whales mentality is not deep within these people. Which, look, once again, I don't care which political spectrum. I'm not trying to make you spend your money. This is a fact. This has nothing to do with politics. Has really nothing to do with religion. Yet here we are.
Bold line, and if you look at
bold
it,
line.
Skinny line is fable.
Fable.
Bold line is fact. So this actually shows
how much more fable is there than the real. Look at this one. It's a dot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's
15 feet.
Massive. And what is this of?
This is showing how you start over there with the a fish type animal, and it turns into fish all the way down to us and to the amphibians. But here's what I find really interesting about this. If you want to get into
where's Tiktaalik on there? About this? Yeah, where's Tiktaalik on there? How does that fit? A perfect example of something that's intermediate between fish and a land animal.
At the dates on these things. Yeah. And so supposedly this thing turned into this thing, turned into this thing, and we're going to do this with the birds.
It's not that it turned into this thing, turned to this thing, turned to this thing. It's that groups of populations over a long period of time changed to reflect their new environments and the genes that they had expressed.
Start finding is that actually you find grandchildren living before grandparents by the dates.
By the dates.
But we'll come back to that. We'll come back. You can wait for that one.
Get to some other ways. We got the other ways to look at it, right?
Here's your tinted lines again. Notice the dark stuff. The dark stuff is fact. The light stuff
This episode could be called Two Men Who Don't Understand Charts.
Fable. But this chart supposedly shows you start with a groundhog type animal, given enough time, right circumstances, that groundhog turned into the hippopotamus, the giraffe, and the cow. Can we do a bunny trail?
Sure, it's not a groundhog.
We have a groundhog type animal, right? Groundhog type animal. Over time.
He's going to say it's actually a groundhog. So his thesis, once again, is a groundhog is a groundhog. Wow. I mean, I hope next to Einstein, he gets, one of the highest Nobel Prizes.
Mutation.
Cutting edge creationist research.
It's the top level creation science right here.
2.5 foot long heart. We're not even going to go there.
Oh,
hippopotamus. Just one design feature on a hippopotamus. A hippo has skin that's up to 2 inches thick.
Yep.
All right. And
just only 2 inches.
You need that 2-inch thick skin. Thanks for asking. Because inside that skin, they have a gland that secretes a clear substance that when it hits the air, it turns red. Yep. You can go do research and you'll read about blood sweat. Hippos sweat blood. No, they don't. It's not sweat. It's not blood. It turns red when it hits the air, but then it drips down the body, and it's a sunblock. And because they're very vicious and they bite each other, they get cuts and everything. Well, if they get in that dirty, nasty water,
what makes more sense, that this evolved naturally, or that a god poofed this mechanism into existence? I think I know which one I'm leaning towards.
God said, you know what? I'm going to make those hippos. I think I'm going to make them kind of ornery, so they're going to fight a lot and they'll get cuts in their skin. So I probably have to design some type of coating that would help disinfect the skin so they don't get infected in the water. Great job.
And he's like, I meant to do so. I was bug fixing. Sorry about that, guys.
Get an infection and die. Nope. This stuff has an antiseptic. It's an antiseptic sunblock. And we can't even go to CVS Pharmacy and buy one of those things, brother, but they produce it. And that came from a mouse.
I'm trying to understand what his point was right there. I feel like he had just learned that fact and was like really super excited to tell it. And I'm not going to hate on him for that. But it feels like in giving that fact, he kind of pushed away from what he was. I don't understand how you could use that and then go, look how awesome God is. Did God give it to them? Is that what you're saying?
He gave it to him.
Following his track here.
God gave it to him.
Every
I
day,
guess so.
It's obvious that it became a hippopotamus and it grew new skin. It went from fur to skin and hair to skin.
And don't.
And I mean, a hippo, just looking at it, is a great animal that you could see going from the transition from land animal to aquatic. That you literally have a hybrid animal that has been streamlined through the process of apparently going back into the water and growing some aquatic features like the ears and stuff, because it doesn't matter how massive you are in the water. In fact, the more massive you are in the water, a lot of times the faster you are. So you ask yourself, how do these massive whales and everything go through? But it's actually easier for them than smaller creatures. They actually just glide right through.
Well, that's why you don't see large animals like the whale-sized animals on land, but you do 100%. See water.
And that's
Also,
Why
the issue with gravity.
So big?
With gravity and being that size causes a lot of complications on animals.
Sure.
Carry that weight around, which is not an issue in the water.
And none of this makes sense from a creationist perspective. Like, it all makes sense from the natural data.
Yeah, you just have to say God was just fucking around and creating random shit. And yeah.
Oh, Satan. He was just hiding things again.
Yeah.
As I'm telling you, the draft is like blows that out of the water.
Yeah, but then, I mean, this is not just stuff that we pull out of books. You were at a museum, right?
Wasn't the word I thought you were about to use.
This is the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, right underneath Henry the elephant. You start and see, take a look here. You got your little mouse.
That's good.
And then given enough time, the mouse.
But they don't like the idea that the first mammals were small, and that just drives them crazy. Like, oh, how could they start off small and get bigger? Well, I don't know. The dinosaurs started off big and they became chickens, so it can work both ways. It depends on what the environment is selecting for.
And it's because we favor things. We can't understand how we're like, well, we want to be bigger. Why wouldn't you want to be bigger? But sometimes being smaller lets you need less resources in a scarce environment. You're now going to live.
The bigger dinosaurs died off. The smaller ones became avian, became birds.
And there are still large birds.
There's a big old man.
Oh, yeah. So you'd have to say God. I was just going to say you'd have to say God just was fucking around and said, you know what? I'm going to make a bird that can't. I'm going to make a fucking ostrich. It can't fly. It's going to have wings, all right, but it won't be able to use them to fly. You know. Evolution can explain that. God, creation.
I just want to show this at random, but like, if you do not think that this looks at all like a dinosaur, you are lying to yourself. This is what I mean. Just like when we go up to other apes and we're like, nah, I don't see it at all. You are lying to yourself. You are completely lying to yourself. So yes. It could be we have chickens, but all birds are the only living survivors, the only living chain of dinosaurs left. And that is the shoehorn. Shoebill.
Thing and then turns into the bigger. But notice something.
It becomes a paleomastodon. I mean, that's fabulous.
But look, you've got nothing tying all of this.
I know that bird is crazy. It looks. I swear, it looks like more like a dinosaur than anything else.
It sounds like they just found the animals and then said, "What did it start with?" And then put some animals up on the picture like a puzzle and went just kind of like that. Even though there's no pieces of the other puzzle,
no pieces tying it together. Yeah. But that's what this whole chart shows is when you go through there, and eventually you get even down to people. But you know what?
People.
Forget about this, Buck.
Yep.
Forget about that. A mouse turning into an elephant. That's not a big deal.
No, this is a huge deal.
This is a big deal.
Where do we go here?
Get it? Big deal.
Yeah.
Elephant. No. Anyway, you got a 2.5 inch long mouse with a tail.
Yeah. Yes.
That had mutation that eventually became a sperm whale.
Yeah.
Much less a.
Once again, they are complaining that something small became big. How could a rat become a giant whale? Well, because it was a mammal, and then the dinosaurs died. Almost 99.9% of the dinosaurs died, leaving many niches open to which mammals began to fill all of them. Right. And then one of those niches was that they actually went back into the water. And we can tell this because of the way that their spines work. They have spines that go up, down. When you look at a fish, they will go left and right. They go like this. These have lots of features like the little mouse. Doesn't matter that you're looking at the size.
You would have to just say that on their side, oh, God just decided to make mammals that live in the water. He just decided to put the blowhole on top of their head so they can
Well, if
breathe
you ask
water.
them, like, is a dolphin a fish? I feel like they would be like, well, it's a dolphin. But then, so there's the fish things, but then there's this over here. But then the dolphin shares a lot more with the mammals over here. Why does it seem to share more with the mammals? Every time you go back to it, they would end up, especially when you look at their versions of kinds and all this other stuff, what ends up happening is they end up recreating evolution. There's just really no way around it other than poof.
Blue whale? I mean, you can drive a Volkswagen Beetle through the artery of a blue whale's heart, and that supposedly came from a 2.5-inch long mouse that had...
Once again, argument a la wow.
Argument
from proportion?
Yeah.
And you think we got a problem?
Right? Well, there's no problem because first of all, they don't explain it.
Yeah,
they do.
No
whale evolution. Whale evolution is one of the most documented forms of evolution. It's very well documented.
Because I think it's something we're all curious about. We're always interested in how a mammal could go back to sea at all.
Because everything originally lived in the sea, that's where life began, and then evolved to survive on land. But then these animals evolved back to live in the sea.
And I imagine that there was a gradual transition, and you would have in between that a semi-aquatic animal that was still good at doing its job. You said, well, what's good of that semi-aquatic animal? Which, to bring it back full circle, look at the hippopotamus.
Similar,
hippopotamus is doing just fine being a semi-aquatic animal. And so millions of years, it may either go back onto land and then lose all of these features that it had smoothing down, or it may completely have its ears trimmed down, its limbs gone away, and have a new fully aquatic animal, a new fully aquatic mammal.
And it depends on what the environment is selecting for. And if the environment is pushing them to be more aquatic, they'll be more aquatic eventually to the point where they'll be fully aquatic.
And that's the only hand. Because they're always like, well, what's the guide? What's the mechanism? The literal metric that is being used is, can you pass babies on in this environment? If you survive, have sex, and pop out babies, your progeny continue that line. That's really all you need to do to have survival of the fittest is misinterpreted because it means fittest to reproduce. Not fittest as in like, oh boy, I can do all these sit-ups and push-ups.
Able to survive.
You could be lanky and stupid and still pop out a bunch of babies, and you will be not being naturally selected. You'll be doing just fine. Not that I promote that. We here at this channel promote intelligence and wisdom and tacos.
Well, I mean, it's like almost if there's a niche in nature, something's automatically going to eventually fill that. Like if there is resources to exploit, some species will eventually be able to exploit that resource in nature.
And you
know,
see
like
this
the scavenger animals. Yeah, like scavenger animals, they exploited the niche. Hey, there's resources that are of dead animals that is going to waste. Somebody's going to fill that niche and use that resource that's available.
Specifically, meat-eating plants, like carnivorous plants, like a Venus flytrap, they tend to grow where there is a lot of either acidic soil or not nutrient-rich soil, and so they have to supplement their diet. And so it was something they were driven towards evolutionarily.
Because there wasn't enough. They weren't getting enough
resources. They still photosynthesize to a degree. They still need water, and yet got to get some nom-noms. And so we're going to move through this. We are about 2/3 through the video, actually. And so as we get to the last 5 minutes of the video, I'm going to start putting the link up in chat so people can join us on an open mic. So atheist, theist, you're going to be able to tell us what your thoughts are about the video, our openings, and just in general, the fossil record proves evolution debunked.
They make up stuff and they tell fables and have suggestions and all the things we went through.
These guys with fables, they are so totally projecting with that fable.
And I love that stuff because it's obvious, right? Like, you only use that type of language when you're talking about Odin, Thor, Yahweh, and yet they have to, because they were calling my hard I was gonna say hard fought beliefs. That doesn't really make sense. They're making fun of my beliefs. How dare they? How dare they?
My heartfelt.
Heartfelt. Thank you. There we go.
Us to give in and go, well, that's what the lab coat guys tell us. And I think
not what. I mean, doesn't that say everything though?
With the people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter what subject now.
Us to give it.
This is really the entire thing of the video. It doesn't matter what subject it's on.
Go, well, that's what the lab coat guys tell us, and I think
they just have that view on everything. It doesn't matter if the Earth is getting warmer. It doesn't matter if we're evolving. It doesn't matter if the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Vaccines work.
That's the lab coat guys tell us. We don't know.
And we know that because of how evolution works.
Doesn't matter if Moses still. That's what the historians tell us. There was no Moses, Cough it out, Amy.
Get it out. Gotta get it out.
That's a big thing for Christians right now.
It is.
Or anybody. Well, a guy with a lab coat with 6 degrees told me the mouse became the whale. So somewhere in that billions of years.
So
is that
probably said that because there's an overwhelming amount of evidence to support that claim.
But I just is that why? Because it's a lab coat guy? That's why you think that
but a guy,
we believe in evolution, that we believe that genes randomly mutate and the environment naturally selection? Good sir, you're wrong.
But a guy not in a lab coat, guy wearing a sport coat and tie telling you that God poofed animals out of nothing, and that, of course, you totally believe, with unquestionable faith.
It could have happened.
And I don't care how many letters you have after your name, none of us know more than God.
Exactly.
And that's the one we need to.
Once again, just random. You're getting close to preaching, but I mean, we know it's in your shtick.
It's like when Ken Hovind says, when you quote mines a known atheist to try and cast doubt on evolution, they point out, well, that guy's an atheist. You're quote mining him. Well, he won't be an atheist when he dies.
Well, he'll be dead, so you're right. He won't be anything. That's kind of how that works.
Stephen Hawking knows God now. He met him, and God was not happy with him.
Which is always just a vague threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. A little bit of envy. Look, maybe they couldn't just put in all that hard book learning.
And don't get me wrong, I would never be able to become a bio. I'm not inclined in that field, but I'm not going to say I know more about it than the the people who have gone to school for biology and do have degrees and have worked in the field, have done the experiments.
This whole process, they have a chart for it.
Yep.
They got a chart.
Oh boy.
You start down here with a couple mices. That's plural for mice, right?
For mysos, yeah.
So you got a couple mices, and then give them enough time, right circumstances to take a look. You get all the different mammals. What are you going to do?
I see dotted lines there, though. Again, nothing from the hard facts, and it's just we're going to beat this over the head. But let's keep going. What do we got?
Take a look
here?
at that red dot there, man. I have been
Once again, what this is saying is we have found bones here, 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 and here. And what we are doing is building a map. We are building roadmaps from the fossils and just organizing. We are not prescribing them. We are describing them. This is not a human interpretation.
And this has happened before where scientists, they are looking for a particular type of species, intermediate between two certain animals. They know the time period, and they look, and they find it. They find something in between that because the theory of evolution made a testable prediction. And when they digged in the dirt, they found what they were looking for because it works. It's science.
Many times of Carl, all you're doing is beating up on evolution. You're not giving us any evidence for creation.
Yeah, indeed.
You see that red dot there? You notice how that dashed line for the aardvark doesn't even connect in with anything else? It doesn't. It just abruptly begins. Bang.
Yeah.
So I say,
Are you
get rid
really,
of the dashed lines.
really
There's evidence for creation.
trying to make the claim that an aardvark is proof of God? That you are just saying that we don't know how the aardvark, and really what he's saying is he doesn't know how the aardvark came to be, therefore God. Is that where we are right now? I think that's where we are.
It's like if you can't show me, if there's one animal you can't give me a complete evolutionary history and lineage of, then that's a gap in our knowledge and they're going to hide their God in that gap.
Everyone, we could just come on down here and come on here. They are an animal. They have a notch cord like all like fish do that we share. They are a mammal. Let's go down. They are part of the Aracitofravara family. Although there are many fossils.
Sounds like a biblical.
I definitely went our Skeptic Bible study there. Only species sign today is the aardvark. Okay, so.
Oh, look at the hierarchy there of the
first
species, genus, kingdom. Huh.
Wow.
It didn't just pop out of nowhere?
Didn't just pop out. So we have this coming from 20... is it 20 million years? And then we have older 60, 70 million years. Let's go even further in a second. We can come back up here. And then you can go bloop. And you can do this with every animal. Doesn't matter which.
Yeah. Womp, womp, womp.
Yep.
It just came onto the scene.
No,
well, so does all these, right?
No.
You have no lines. They all have starting points, and they're all relative at the same time.
You want evidence for creation? Use their charts. Get rid of the fable, and look at the actual evidence.
Yeah, but it goes even deeper than that. We didn't. We weren't just animals. We came from a whole other species of things.
Even deeper. That's another.
Even deeper.
Oh, baby, go deeper.
Even deeper.
Take a listen.
Now they're talking.
Microbiologist Mitchell Sogan decided to trace human evolution to its roots. He had no idea he might find
sponges.
Yes, absolutely. And by
there we go.
Is that supposed to be bad? Oh, not sponges.
That looks like a younger Otangelo a little bit.
Oh, it's a role play. You want to do a role play?
Sponge role play.
Italian.
The sponge, because getting rid of athlete's foot is very difficult because it's a fungus.
Yes.
And so when you're trying to get rid of it, you're killing off a piece of your ancestry. I read that. I literally
really read that.
Not true. That's not how that works. You still don't understand it.
I read that.
And people,
I'm not lying.
and people, yeah, it's funny. What's that old quote? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Oh boy,
right?
Oh,
and
boy.
it's more true in this area of quote unquote science that's changing constantly.
And by the
stand
way,
for
we have
bullshit.
now found
What does
the
that get
missing
you?
link to this thing. I don't know how to deal with it, quite frankly.
We have to bring SpongeBob every now and then. There,
Oh, we're going full
pedestrian. But
that's like the dumbest cartoon ever. I just got to be honest with you. It's like the dumbest
that's why
cartoon
it's good
ever.
to use it.
This is made by a marine biologist.
How ridiculous it may seem. But back to something
serious.
Yeah, let's get to the serious stuff.
Serious.
And here we're in a whole other kind of world now.
Here we have our 2.5-inch long mouse who over millions of years turned itself into the wolf and then slowly gradually went back, wolf-like animal. Sorry, got to be correct here. Then slowly, gradually went back into the ocean to become the whale. And this is from the Denver Museum of Natural History.
But you know what I love now, Carl?
Yeah.
Is all the lines are missing. All the dots.
I know, right?
It's just all pictures.
Just pictures now.
And by the way, notice how many fossils they have to do it. 1, 2, 3. We got 4 fossils in there, brother. So you better sell out for it.
What do you need? Like you have like a fossil limit here? Oh, look at all these fossils they got going on in here. Yeah, that's the point.
For all these
Watch out for these guys. They've got fucking fossils.
On that. And that's another episode.
Yeah.
We have to do just one on nothing but whale evolution.
Okay, whale evolution's coming along. Here we go.
It's going to be 15 feet long.
Watch this. Let's take a look at their chart. Here it is. Oh, I forgot.
Yep.
Smithsonian, Adam. When he was filming our worm guy, he also got, here it is. So slow, gradual processes over millions of years. We got our wolf-like animal, slowly, gradually, millions of years, slow, gradual process.
Boom. That's a punctuated equilibrium thing that's 80 million years of evolution. Yep. Suddenly that thing, now it's walking.
Slowly, gradually.
They do understand this is a cartoon, right?
Boom.
Do they?
In the
someone
blink of an eye.
Are you seeing the dramatic changes here?
When he goes around the corner, what does he become? There he is.
No, they don't. Okay.
David Copperfield would love to be able to do
That's good stuff, man.
Wait, are the walls padded?
Explain that. How did we get there?
Oh,
we're
getting. I'm getting
this
a call.
That shows the actual
walls are padded. It's okay.
They'll be safe. Animals, and they turn into
no. We love our CS creationist brothers and sisters.
When you look at this chart now?
Yeah.
Even if they need to be wearing a straitjacket.
Dotted lines, shaded areas are fables.
And there's question marks. When you look in there, those are all
question marks.
So now you're beyond the dotted line. You're in the.
You mean they're admitting they might not know something?
No idea.
Absolutely. It is fable to the core. So I'm going to do my own magic trick for you. You ready?
I am.
Focus on those skulls.
Yep.
Focus.
And that's what they really have.
I didn't change the skulls.
No.
That's the facts. That's the actual evidence right there.
I'm very tempted. I mean, like, how hard would this be? Just stick with me, ladies and gentlemen, for a second.
Bear with Miss Newman.
Bear with me. Let's just imagine now. I'll make it a little bit prettier. Okay. But would it really? Like... Even. Oh man, this really is starting to look like something. I wish we had a name for it. I wish there was like some sort of Mree. How about a tree?
A tree?
God. Oh my lordy. Anyway.
Crazy, isn't it?
Christian, non-Christian, we all have the same evidence.
How complex that slide before was, and you just take it out, and then you found bones, and you don't even know the order of the bones. It's
yes,
where it gets good.
You can.
We know somebody who's already been there who knows what happened, told us what happened. His name is God, and watch what he does. When he tells us that on day 5 he created great whales, I look at the fossil record. What I find is whales.
Wow! Look at that right there. These people really don't understand what's going on. I feel like I am in the Twilight Zone. Like we teach
God said
this
he made whales
in elementary school.
Must be true, right? He said it.
I guess so. Oh, and good. We're bringing in the Bible. And God creates whales. Genesis 1:2.
Oh, wow.
He did?
That
he said
is
whales specifically?
I don't think not in
I
our
remember that part.
Yeah. But that's the level. This is what they do accept. They don't accept the science, but what do they accept? Baseless assertions from an old book.
Oh, and God created the great sea monsters. Yeah. Well, now we're talking some real science. I mean, great sea monsters, just like a whale. I mean, we have one model over here tracking genetic evolution in the fossil record, and then we have a book saying that whales are sea monsters. Equal footing.
I mean, they look pretty scary. I don't know, Amy. Fire-breathing.
I mean, these are people that believe in giants, though. So I guess,
Well, one of the other videos I sent you, if you saw, it had the dinosaurs are dragons in the Bible. That's what they were talking about. Yeah.
Makes sense. We're getting to real science.
Dinosaurs in the Bible. Oh, look, it says dragons. Therefore, dinosaurs.
And since we are actually coming up on the last 5 minutes of the video, I think I'm actually going to queue up the link so that you out there in the interwebs can join us for our open mic. We have been Skeptic and Ranting on the fossil record proves evolution debunked, where we've been watching a video from DeBunked Ministries where they claim that the fossil record does not, in fact, prove evolution, and they kind of sneak in proves creationism somehow, but they don't really go through that, except for they literally are basically saying it looks like animals just magically poofed into existence. Therefore, doesn't that fit our model that God just magically poofs animals into existence?
Which, of course, if what we would expect if that were the case would be that 99% of the animals in the fossil record would be extant today, which is not what we see. We see that the vast majority of animals we find in the fossil record are extinct. We haven't seen, and they're nothing like anything humans have ever seen. We've never seen animals like this who weren't alive when they were made.
Yep, and we've never seen a god. So I'd like also to see evidence of that. And then over here we have, so the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Oh, man, they are really they just are going after, they're like biology over here and cosmology over here, which is another thing right? I really dislike about apologists is they love mixing and confusing sciences. They're like, you really think that life started with the Big Bang? No. Wait, it's cosmology over here and biology over here. Both are wonderful subjects. You should check them out.
So again, fossil record evidence, when you look at it through the lens of God's word, what we see in the world is consistent with what we read in the Word of God.
Every time. And you know what? Even though we can think about it and look at all the data now and go, we've learned so much. But the reality is, this has been known for a long time.
We've learned so much, but in reality, we always knew it was about God because we had the Bible.
Yeah, they knew it from the Bronze Age.
From the proponents that claim that they know, right? And
because I think
we got a quote.
You take a listen.
Oh boy.
Why is not every geological formation, every stratum full of such intermediate links? Geology assuredly does not.
Because it's actually hard to create a fossil, or even better, preservation of like a living remains. Like when you see with what is it that gets trapped in amber, like a mosquito trapped in amber. These things are very hard. You imagine a jellyfish, which is all water, and there's nothing to leave behind and harden after they die. So fossils are not going to form. It would actually have to take a jellyfish being pressed into mud or a situation in which they get stuck to which it contains them. Much less likely. Exactly.
I mean, what did you think?
Why they're not
probably
everywhere.
Like less than 0.1% of animals that die you would expect to be fossilized. Probably much less than that.
Probably even less.
And the fact that we have so many of the fossils, it just speaks to how much time it must have taken when you consider that the vast majority of animals that lived and died are not fossilized.
Yep.
We have so many. It's going to take a long time to accumulate that many.
And yet, we still have many, many fossils because there's a lot of time.
Billions of them. They'll say, "Oh, Noah's flood, it made a lot of fossils real fast because there was a big flood." Yeah, fucking flood.
But that's not how we see animals. We don't see them all in one strata. It is not how it works. Every once in a while, they'll show something like, well, one strata is cutting across or something. And so you have like an animal going into a tree or something. And well, generally, those are circumstances that either pushed something down.
Up, guys. All right. We lost Amy's computer. I guess it's that one time of the stream when she blue screens, but that's okay.
Just a good old browser crash every once in a while.
Good.
I'll take that over a blue screen. But yeah, we're finishing up. The link is in chat if you would like to join us, or at least prep yourself for the open mic. We're finishing up this pile of wisdom.
Not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain, and this is the most obvious and serious objection which can be urged against the theory. And this goes all the way back to
Mr. Chuck Darwin, right?
Once again, trying to take people who actually believe in what you are trying to disprove. It's dishonest. It really is. Just use your own soul. Use all of those fantastic Nobel Prize winning creationist scientists. Quote them.
I mean, they've got God on their side. Shouldn't they be able to?
Indeed.
I mean, wouldn't God be able to give them throw them a bone here? I mean, come on, God.
Oh my, will I?
Do them something.
160 years, brother. They have known this is a problem, and it's still a problem. Don't trust us because that's old and outdated.
Yeah.
Let's go to the current. Let's go to a guy recent here. Take a listen to what he has to say.
Instead of finding the slow, smooth, and progressive changes Lyell and Darwin had expected, they saw in the fossil record rapid bursts of change. New species appearing seemingly out of nowhere.
No, they did.
And then remaining unchanged for millions of years.
No, they did.
Patterns hauntingly reminiscent of creation.
I give, you win.
That's pretty clear, but you know, we still have a little more to say about this. I'm going to bring in Juan to talk about this.
I would also like to see the citing of that quote, because everything I'm seeing is just Mark Pagel, the guy he was quoting, is a evolutionary biologist. So he believes in evolution. I'm not really sure. Really does seem like I would like to see his direct quote and the context that he was saying that.
What you see is influenced by what you've been taught and by what you're already expecting.
What a combination, huh?
Yeah, I wonder what the... Now, look, I hate...
What's his doctorate in?
Let me just put this. I really do have to put an asterisk because I hate when people shit on... you know, if you have a doctorate in education, if you have a doctorate in computer science and doctorates
basket weaving...
those are the see. Now this is the thing. I think those are all doctorates. Those are all. You have earned your doctorate by adding something to the field. If you are at any university worth its salt, you are trying to, you have been able to learn everything. That's what a master's is for. And so your doctorate is really you trying to go out there and contribute, extend to the field. But my problem is, if you are a theologian, a doctorate in theology, and you're adding, I mean, I would like to see what new, and I'm sure there are theologians and doctors of theologians that do great work in cataloging the historicity of events and all sorts of great work. Nonetheless, I'm always skeptical when people like Dr. Kent Hovind try to trot that out. So sending love for all doctorates, because you don't need to have a medical degree to have a doctorate. That is a common misconception. In fact, most doctorate's degrees are not in the medical field. Nonetheless, speaker plus apologist. Oh, what a combo.
To see. So how can we see things for what they really are? Study the facts. Follow the evidence. Try hard not to be biased. For instance, let's consider the whole idea of whale evolution as typically presented. If you look at the facts, follow the evidence, and try not to be biased, you'll discover that it's absurdly improbable. That is to say, to go from a wolf-like, land-dwelling animal to a whale that swims in the ocean, too many
once again, argument a la I really can't. Well, I was about to make up a fallacy, but it is an incredulity fallacy. He just doesn't know something.
I can't conceive how this could happen, therefore it couldn't have happened. Well, you might not be able to conceive it, but it still could have happened.
Yep.
Absurdly improbable things have to happen altogether. Just consider the remodeling of the breathing apparatus. A mutation that converts the nostrils into a blowhole and relocates.
That wasn't one mutation. It was a series of many mutations to move that blowhole from the nose up to the top over millions of years. Millions of years that took to happen.
They have no conception of time. That's really what it all goes back to, is if it happens before or after about 100 years, this didn't happen. I guess they have to go far enough for Jesus, but past that, they don't really give.
And from one generation to the next, that nostril is in virtually the same spot. You would not notice any movement from one generation to the next, but over 100,000 years, you probably would notice something. It's like trying to watch the grass grow. You can sit out there in Alabama and watch the grass grow all day. You're not going to see anything.
Why does a mammal have lungs? Why does a mammal? Why does a dolphin? Why do whales have lungs? Why do they not have gills? Why do they even have to go up for air at all?
Oh, because God just decided He wanted to create mammals that live in the water. Duh.
I guess
God wanted mammals that live in the water.
Need a good glass of water.
Lethal without another simultaneous mutation that restructures the skull bones, and another that restructures the skin, and another mutation that restructures
Holy
the
shit, he's learning what evolution is.
You would almost need a lot of time, Amy, to get all those mutations. You would almost need like millions of years for that to happen. I wonder what does the theory of evolution say? How long did that take, Amy? Was that millions of years? Yeah.
Millions
of years.
Yeah, think so.
Vessels in circulation, and another mutation that reconnects the blowhole to the lungs, and another one.
I just like hearing him say blowhole. We all do.
That rewires the nervous system. You get it? The odds of just one of these mutations occurring naturally are astronomical.
No,
but when you consider adding a bunch of other incredibly complex...
I like how they're like, can you imagine something so impossible as a blowhole? Anyway, here's this dude that just came back to life because he's the son of a deity.
I mean, can you imagine, Amy, mutations? I mean, you would almost think that virtually every organism has at least some mutations, right? I mean, but wait a minute, they do. So every organism has a chance to have one of these mutations. Go figure.
Yeah, Canhoven time. The fact that a chicken egg doesn't hatch a dog very much confuses them, which is what they expect evolution to be, but that would actually disprove or at least be evidence against evolution.
Can you pull up that chart, Amy, the evolutionary tree of life that you had?
Give me one second.
Oh wow. So what they're saying, and what like Henhoven says when he says changing from one kind to another, that would be like an animal making a lateral jump across to another branch of the tree. What evolution and how it works is each branch grows off the branch that was before it. You don't you don't go from one kind to another. Each kind diversifies, and each species is very similar to the one before it. Now, when different species branch off, the differences and diverge, the differences really start to accumulate, but you're not going to go from one branch to another branch. That's really like the whole thing of it. That's really what they don't get, is that you're not going to jump from a whale to a hamster because they're so far apart on the tree, but they're still mammals, right? So they share a common ancestor.
Yeah, I really don't understand what they're trying to push, except for a magic man did it. And then when we say that to them, they say, you're just making fun of me and you're straw manning me. No, we're really not. You're actually straw manning what science actually believes.
Reality, yeah.
But we are about to be in the last maybe look at the trees. We are about
look at the slums of Mombasa. Look at the sewers. Look at the Holocaust. I mean, how can you give God credit for the good things that he does, but absolve him for all the bad stuff that we see in the world? I mean, I know the apologetic, oh, God made it perfect and humans messed it up, whatever. But yeah.
You silly humans, and that snake with the legs, always messing things up for God.
That darn devil.
But yeah, we're at like the last minute of the opposing view, which means we are going to throw up the open mic for anyone who wishes to join us. Atheist, theist, whatever you identify as. Now is the time to come one,
transition to the open
come
mic.
all. We are finishing up. The fossil record proves evolution debunked.
That must occur simultaneously. In order for the animal to change and survive, you start to understand why the word impossible was invented. The same problem occurs over and over again when converting front legs into flippers, adding a ball joint that allows the tail to move up and down, transforming...
Yes, we should go to the biblical version of the snake had legs, and then God got really mad and was like, snake, you no longer have legs. Total science.
But I'm still going to make you be a vegetarian until after the flood, snake, so have fun eating your fruit. Fucking snake eating goddamn fruit. I mean, only the Bible would get you something that fucking asinine. A snake crawling around and swallowing a fruit hole.
Well, it hadn't rained a lot yet, and so until the raining event happens, yeah.
Make it rain.
Friggin' snake.
teeth into plates lined with brush-like fibers, modifying kidneys for saltwater intake, enlarging and renovating the lungs to withstand intense pressure of deep dives, incorporating thermal insulation, modifying ears, eyes, and skin to work effectively in aquatic environments, and on and on and on. Just stop it. The whole idea of whale evolution.
Just stop it.
It didn't happen.
No, you.
It's another example of a wonderfully designed creature that points to the majesty of its creator.
Thanks, Juan. That's good stuff. Very, very important to realize the design method and how all that stuff works together, again, with worldview, and knowing that Scripture is always right.
Always right.
And there you go. They say it. Look at that.
We can't do it.
Last 10 seconds. They can't even help themselves. There you go, baby.
Scripture is always right.
You guys.
And that's really, like you said at the beginning, this tells you how they get to this. They start with the conclusion, Scripture is always right.
Work themselves
Evolution
backwards.
must be wrong. It must be wrong no matter what, because the Bible contradicts it. So therefore, however we can make that case and try to make it work, but it doesn't work. It didn't work. It was a failure.
Doesn't work, and I don't know. I don't think I'm convinced. What about you, James?
I'm still gonna have to stick with the science, and I'm not convinced evolution is not true. I'm not convinced that they did a good job debunking it.
What's sad to me is it sounds like both of these gentlemen had an almost passing understanding of what it was, and then they have been kind of indoctrinated with talking points to muddies your entire worldview. They have hard to tell up from down after you know, it's just the guys in lab coats. Don't trust them. You're going to believe guys in lab coats? Come on.
It seems like they knew just enough that if they really wanted to understand it, they could have, but they didn't go that far enough. It's kind of like the John Maddox, like, learn about it just enough to try to debunk it.
And there are many that try to attack it from this evolutionary perspective, fossils. I always find it very dishonest. It's never the reason why they believe, or the reason at least they give why they believe. It's really to go after the skeptics, the non-believers, you pesky people who aren't believing in my version of my religion.
Even somebody who's smart and who has studied the field, like somebody like Sal, and you ask him, hey, does it ever give you pause that the vast majority of scientists who have the same type of degrees as you do or more advanced, they work in the same fields, they look at the objections you raise to evolution and it doesn't convince them that this is any type of problem. No problem. It's not a barrier to evolution. Whatever kinks in it are whatever gaps in the knowledge are not nearly enough to invalidate the whole theory and to cast it into serious doubt.
You're saying it's not science of the gaps, James? So I heard.
Science of the gaps house, and that's the thing, or they'll say the wispy guy likes to call it naturalism of the gap. Because there's a gap in our knowledge, and we're just assuming a naturalistic explanation will be found because that's all that's happened throughout history 100% of the time. So why are we just assuming that a natural explanation will be found, as it always has been? But
that's where all
we know that the natural world exists, and we know that it has profound explanatory power to explain things that were previously hard to understand. We do not know that a supernatural realm exists. We do not know that your universe-creating, life-creating genie exists. We've never seen one of those. We don't know that they exist, and we have no data about one. But we do know the natural world exists.
And with that, I'm gonna send love into chat. I see people.
You got the gap.
Doorknob Head and everybody. I see Chris out there. Tinkle Tink. Everybody out there in the interwebs. I was gonna say the winterwebs. Those two, kind of cold out.
Commons got the thigh gap.
That's right. Oh baby. We are going to pin it up in chat so you can come join us, whether you are on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. But we already got Dog behind us backstage, which means we are officially going to switch into the Skeptic and Ranting open mic. Dog, you're starting us off on the fossil record proves evolution debunked.
Rough.
What is up, Dog? Hope
Dog.
you're doing well. We are Skeptic and Ranting on the fossil record proves evolution debunked. What are your thoughts?
Hi, Amy. Hi, James.
Hey, Dog. How you doing?
What's up?
I have to agree with James. The Bible just makes people lazy. Just to say God made the sky blue is a cop out, as far as I'm concerned. You know, you need to pick up another book. See, I was born and bred into Catholicism, and I had a bad experience throughout my childhood with that and my parents. And in the days, I'm 53 now, so I was in the days when Catholicism was quite strict with their dogma, let's say. And it was I went through my teens basically hating why God had forsaken me. And then I started studying and realised that prick can't exist. But when you asked him, you know, what energy is it all about? But I'm recently on Twitter talking about fossil records. He doesn't believe in evolution. But what I said in chat was that bacteria does evolve quicker than we do is a fact, and we obviously all evolve from cells and from the sea. See, I have my own theory about how that happened. I do believe the meteorite did. If you look at a map of the planet and push all the countries together, it's like a jigsaw. You can see, obviously, a bit of erosion. They don't fit exactly. But there's only one big hole, and that's the Gulf of Mexico, and that's where I believe the meteor hit. And from that, obviously, there was a lot of devastation around that area, but acid rain.
And can I ask, are you saying you believe in a panspermia hypothesis in which we were seeded from somewhere else?
I don't think that's
no.
I think he's talking about the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Oh, the extinction of the.
I'm going back to
the extinction
of the Chicxulub impact
of the dinosaurs.
No, I don't believe in anything else other than reality. There's no point in thinking outside the box. Why I think philosophy does not belong in religion whatsoever. That's just their way of muddying the waters, as you put it, Amy. Obviously, philosophy has a meaning of, you know, there's no right or wrong answer, but there is a right or wrong. It's a binary question. Does God exist or does he not? Do you believe in God or do you not? You know, and they muddy agnosticism. It's not mutually exclusive from atheism. One deals with belief, one deals with knowledge. It's as simple as that. It's a binary question. It is a right or wrong answer, and philosophy doesn't not belong in any of that. But anyway, I digress now. I'm going back to obviously acid rain, and the top third of the ocean was killed by the acid rain, which killed everything else off. And this is why we crawled out of the sea and evolved into what we are. And bacteria does evolve quicker than we've seen it with COVID. That mutates hundreds of thousands of times every day. Not a year, every day that is evolving. Humans don't, obviously. The more complex the gene, the more the slower it happens. But we will evolve. We'll probably be 10 foot tall in a million years.
If the environment's right for that.
We will never see it, but we will evolve, and it will be survival of the fittest, and all these questions, right? But to say that, but the religious are lazy because they won't research this. They just say God did it and that's it. I'm not saying all are religious, because the Bible is interpreted by believers and manipulated by the moneymakers in the Bible, because a lot of them see it as your Ken Hams, your Ken Hovens, your Ken Copelands, your Robert Tiltons. They see it as a scam, and your big circus tents. What they call super church, mega churches, whatever they call them, where they just build a circus tent in a field and have people come and give them money, and they get more elaborate with their scams by doing these faith healing trips and their exorcisms and things like that to keep people interested. And they're losing the fight, and they are losing the fight. Atheism is growing and religion is declining, but they have their fingers in so many. If you stopped atheism, if you stopped religion tomorrow like that with a snap of a finger, this world would end. There'll be so much war and devastation. I mean, religion is probably more responsible for more unnatural deaths than all the murders and serial killers and anything put together. Anything unnatural death is probably compounded by how much religion has killed throughout its past. And we talk about the Muslim, and they force it on the Muslims. They believe in the same God, and it's a long after Muslimism came far after Christianity, and it's basically what the Christians did back in the day. You go back to Leviticus in the Old Testament, they're being gay, the punishment was death, and that was under God's law.
Yeah, we have to potty train all the new Abrahamic religions.
It's not even potty training. It's just I don't know.
Oh no, I get what you're saying. That's my joke is the Christians always come to us and they're like, "Aren't you happy that we're not throwing you off a building?" And it's always like, "Thank you, slow clap, congratulations, you are not throwing me off a building. I guess we've potty trained you long enough to where you don't do that anymore."
I mean, they haven't enslaved any race of people in the past few decades, I guess.
Don't go more than 200 or 300 years, but if you go before that, they've been doing good.
Been that long since we systematically enslaved people.
In Islamic states, they behead people regularly. For a blasphemer, they will not only behead you, they will behead anyone related to you. So they will go into schools, and this is happening now. They will go into schools and behead your children and their cousins and your own brother and sister and father and mother. They will behead them. For gays, they'll do it in public.
And we just had a episode actually on apostasy, and we were just talking about how there are between 10 to 16 countries, depending on how you cut it up, where you can be put to death for not believing God.
Well, African Catholics are now putting people to death for their wrongs. They're now killing people in public for being gay or blasphemy, but this is what Jesus was convicted for. If you look at it, and it's written right in front of them in the New Testament: blasphemy, sedition, enemy of the state, enemy of the state, however you want to put it. It's all written in their Bible. And Jesus was a bad guy. The outcome never come in the book of John, why he wanted his disciples to have swords. But it's there. He wasn't a nice guy, and he was also there to separate children from their mothers and fathers. Jesus was
not all benign.
Jesus was an anarchist. But they love him, and this is obviously the Romans couldn't find. Now, how can you not find a 6 foot for blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy in the middle of a group of 5-foot Asians.
I will say, finding the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy in the Middle East, that should be.
It would be easy, but that's
giveaway, right?
We're talking about Hollywood Jesus now.
I know, exactly. I'm teasing.
What they've put him in, what they've made him out to be. It's in the commandments as well. Even God's commandment was his first commandment was, "Thou shalt be no other gods before me." Even he believed, and in the scripture before the Torah, God actually got his place through a bet he had with Beelzebub. What the bet was, it doesn't say, but he won the bet and he became the first god. But he understands that there are other gods, but to these people there is no other god. There's only one. But there are other gods. Hinduism has 33 plus million gods on its own. But I'm digressing about religion. I'm quite an angry atheist.
Well, in fact, what I'm going to say is we're actually going to put it back into open conversation and then invite everyone to come join us. If you would like, I'm going to be putting the address for StreamYard back into chat. But we are Skeptic and Ranting on the fossil record proves evolution debunked. And
or not.
Or not. And I don't think we had a lot of convincers. I don't think I am becoming a creationist after tonight anytime soon.
Well, to tell you the truth, I think the way science is progressing, these really, like your Ken Ham and his his young Earth creationists.
Yeah.
I think religion is becoming quite laughable now. It's becoming like a flat Earth movement, and I think this is why they have to be elaborate in there. If you ever read anything, I'm sure you have, Amy. I mean, you're super hooked up with all your content, so I'm guessing you read Answers in Genesis, the nonsense and the people he has working for him. But it is just like a flat Earth movement. It's becoming so ridiculous now that this is why it is declining. And this is why they know they need to get religion back in the school and indoctrinate children, which I don't think is a form of child abuse, but I think it's not good for reality. And I mean, we should have colonies on Pluto by now. I think religion has held us back so far just to make as much money as they can, especially in America. It seems, I mean, when American religions, they move over here to the UK. They moved your Mormons, your Jehovah's Witnesses, and your evangelicals and things like that. And they were just knocking on the door. They were just a pain in the arse here, or ass, as you would say. And they were the door knockers, and they still are. They still knock on the doors. They get these young, like 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. I think the Mormons call them missionaries, to just knock on doors and spread the word of nonsense. And it's sad that they're wearing their special underwear. I'd love to give one of them a wedgie and see how it would work out in a schoolyard sort of scenario with their special underwear. Do you think you could wedgie a Mormon with their special underwear on? That'd be good, wouldn't it? And give him a sweary. I'm just being stupid now.
We put in charge of that.
But go on, crack on. I'll sit in the background, Amy. I'll mute myself.
Did we lose Amy? Or did you lose me?
I can hear you, mate. I just thought I was on mute. I think Amy may have.
She may have had
Putting
some
the
more
cat out
technical
or something.
difficulties. Let's see what's going on in chat. Flat Earth truckers on strike in Canada. Yeah, the flat earthers are always out and about. Let's see. Mormons are really nice people, most of them, who believe batshit crazy stuff. Yeah, they absolutely do.
Well, Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormon Church,
And I'm back, guys. Just had to go away for a second.
Was a convicted con man, don't forget. He used to divine
Yeah.
farmers' land for gold, didn't he? He said, yeah,
And
for a fee, of course. For a fee. And he said,
was,
you dig there, you'll
fraud.
find gold. And he'd divine it, and then they pay him, and he'd disappear. Well, obviously, that crap caught up with him in the end, and he was convicted. And of course, how much gold printing plates would it take to print worth of solid gold, which he said it was made in solid gold? How much gold would it take to print the whole Mormon Bible in printing plates? It's a lot of gold.
Probably a lot of gold, yeah. Well, with him, like the one that got me was when somebody took one of his manuscripts that he translated and told him to, okay, make another copy of it. And he said, I can't. The angel took the plates. I can't make another copy. And that was where.
But I can still make more money out of you by selling you special underwear. Special Mormon Y-fronts that whatever they do, I just think it's just more
they keep the demons away.
Yeah. But
and yep, I think we're going to get House of Comments in. We're going to go for about another 20-30 minutes of open mic and then head over to the Discord for the after show. But we are Skeptic and Ranting on the Fossil Record Proves Evolution Debunked. What is up, House of Comments, and what are your thoughts about the subject?
Good morning, and God bless you, Amy, James, and I don't know who the pooch chap is. Hello.
Dog.
I don't, Darth, right? Okay. Hello.
Call me Dog.
Oh, Dog.
With a capital G.
Bow wow.
Okay, woof woof. Right, bow wow wow, if you like. Okay, but but I don't think evolution does anything to those of faith. I don't think anyone of the Abrahamic faiths has a real problem with evolution. Even the Catholic, even the Vatican Church is pretty ambivalent about evolution.
Right.
So I think
keep paying them money and believe what you want.
I think if evolution is meant to be a God-defeating argument, it doesn't do any of that. It does debunk a literal fundamentalist, young Earth creationist kind of view, right? Yeah, you might say, okay, those views are incompatible. Like God created the Earth in this way. If you read the Bible, if your exegesis is fundamental, then yeah, you might have a problem. But the majority of Christians don't have a problem with this. And to the gentleman's other point of atheism is winning, you're 7%. And when you look at the projection rates, all of you are going to die out because you're not having 3 kids. So we just have to ride it out another century, and most of you will be extinct yourself. Atheist itself will be extinct.
Oh, come on, Ralph. You don't even believe that. You don't even believe that, Ralph.
I'd come in swinging. I thought I'd come in swinging.
I mean, you can't draw flies to church anymore, Ralph. Come on. Nobody's going. And even the people that go, they don't even believe it. They're out doing what they do, and they're just going to church on Sunday.
Well, these might be all the protections you have. But
Ralph, can I just say that you go back to the Catholic Church? I mean, it was only 30 years ago they were apologizing for Galileo's.
Yeah, of course, things obviously change, but they
pretend they are progressive, and they're not. It was only this week Pope Francis was apologizing for moving for the Catholic Church moving their paedophiles around the planet out of jurisdiction.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't think the church is meant to be progressive.
What happened with the indigenous children in Canada? What happened to the Magdalene laundries in Ireland and other grave sites around the planet? See, back in the day when I was in the Catholic church and community, and actually believed everything the Bible said. Even though I questioned it, that was my problem. But it became a quest for me at the end of the day, because I was getting beaten up for questioning the dogma. It became a quest.
What made you
question the nonsense.
What happened in your life that made you lose your faith?
I still felt I was forsaken and I was wronged by God. Then, obviously, now I don't believe in any of that crap.
What happened? What happened, if you don't mind me asking? Did some event happen in your life that made you? It was just a gradual.
Catholic school happened in the day when it was quite brutal, and it was quite in the days of the Magdalene sisters of Ireland and the days where they were. But the thing is, they would institutionalize you. And where would you go when you were institutionalized and driven crazy by the word of God? Who was running the institutions for the crazy? It was the Catholics.
Okay, so you basically
inmates run the asylum.
So you basically had a bad personal experience. I hear you, but no, I mean, to your actual main point though, the church shouldn't be pretending to be progressive. Only progressive liberal churches in the West are the ones that are making the mistake of appeasing modern liberal society. True churches, and I think you mentioned in Africa, they're going back to more traditional punishments, for example. I think this is I personally think it's the better approach. I don't think we should give the secular atheist world an inch. I don't think we should entertain their absurdities. I think we should engage them because they're God's creatures. But I don't think we should appease them. I think the Western church has been appeasing the faithless too much. So,
I find the word appeasing not offensive. I just find that wrong. I prefer to say something like they have their fingers in every single pie.
Of course.
And it's all to do with money. I mean, what does God need with all this money? I can understand a church needs a new roof, especially in the UK, because I have to admit, religious architecture through church and that, it's quite beautiful in the UK. I still go to church. I live in a tiny little village in Norfolk in England.
Ralph needs a new roof.
And
the majority of the church spending.
I go there for the village socialism, especially recently after lockdowns and things like that. It's nice to catch up with the rest of the villagers. And some of them do believe, and I'm quite happy with them believing. If that gets them out of bed in the morning and has them function that there's some point in the end of life.
But it's a good thing you say that, dog mate, because I'm mates with a chap called Reverend Jamie Franklin. You probably know him in England from the Together movement. That's the largest movement for the church, saying that we remain open during lockdown. So I talk to people like Jamie Franklin and the others, and the church has been a bastion of microforming the community, keeping the connectivity between people open during a very, very difficult time of a lockdown. So I'm happy that the churches in wherever you're on the Broads have been open and that you've been able to reconnect to the people. I think this is critical. And the church is both. And the point about money in the church is the largest donor of charity. All the money raised by the church is predominantly spent on hospitals, schools.
I really disagree there, especially in the Catholic Church. Can I just quickly mention Norfolk? I actually live near Watton, which is it comes on the Iceni, Iceni is Roman, under that timeline of Norfolk. He says someone mentioned me, but but I have to say that you need to read a thing called the Bigelow Report, which basically reads about the Catholics, they embrace war, they embrace poverty. Mother Teresa, Christopher Hitchens exposed this years and years ago.
You're not Catholic, are you, Ralph?
Sorry, I was in mute. No, I'm a Protestant, but my wife is a very traditional
Catholic. Catholic was the.
Your wife is Catholic?
Very Catholic.
Before Peter's Church of Jesus Christ, who was the first Pope, who was
like Charles,
who was
King Charles.
Sorry, what did you say, James?
No, he's a Protestant. He married a Catholic like King Charles. The first.
Oh yeah, no. I'm talking about the first pope was Peter, and he was crucified in St. Peter's Square upside down. It's
Can
now
I
called
just
St. Peter's Square.
Ask for a second? Does that mean, Ralph, that you actually agree with us? Because you actually would look at these guys like in the video tonight and would disagree with them.
I know. I'm a scientist. I accept evolution. I accept the laws of physics as everything has been God unfolding to us how to understand the universe. I don't believe if I have, 1,000 years ago, we didn't know anything about physics and evolution. We thought physics was this. 200 years ago, we thought physics was Newtonian or Faraday. Just a century ago, we thought it was relativity. Now we know it's quantum field theory. At any point in time, physics or biology or chemistry is just exposing the universe to our understanding that God has given us.
So then what would you
So nothing
say
science can ever
these...
do. That's.
But what would you say to a Christian who does not believe in evolution?
I think the question is going to be what type of Christian. If they are a fundamentalist exegesis Christian, in which case they believe literally that the earth is X days, etc., that's the position they're taking theologically on the Bible. But that's not the only position you can take theologically in the Bible. It's not like one position. Just like there's not one view in science. There's a consensus opinion. There's not one view in faith. There are consensus opinions. So our question, the consensus opinion would be, if you're a fundamentalist, these are the battles you're going to have to take on. If you're non-fundamentalist, these are the battles you're going to have to take on. I believe in either case, science is just God allowing. Notice in the entire post-Cambrian explosion, 700 million species go extinct. We already know from complexity theory that evolution is not just a Darwinism, it's not the only mechanism. You're getting spontaneous order. We understand how punctuated equilibrium work. We know eventually we get strong emergence explanations. For speciation, we get all this stuff. None of this is telling me God doesn't exist. It's just telling me God has given man a way to understand his species, but we are the only species. We are the only species that have ever done this. Nothing else has. No other species, the majority of species that have existed have become extinct. Not a single one of them has ever written. None of them has ever thought about the universe. No one has measured the cosmic background radiation ever. We are the only species that are special. And we are special because God has given us a way to find it.
How can you prove that?
Asterisks on that.
How can you prove that? Because this is a fact. 99.9% of the species that have ever lived on this planet are extinct. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How can you prove that none of them have thought about the?
we can't.
Are we understanding them incorrectly, or?
We can't. There might have been a species. No, there might have been a species that theoretically existed, say pre-Cambrian explosion, that had a wonderful civilization, and civilization was destroyed by, God knows, let's say a flood, and all its records of its brilliant work was erased. Yeah, we can't know that. It's not.
We have proof. We have proof of intelligent species that have lived hundreds of thousands.
But no species. Even if you look at human evolution, right? What is our fundamental best theory post DNA of homology say? It says that we look like we're 6.1. I can't remember 6.1 or 6.2 million years from a common ancestor from chimps. That's what our homology says. The chimp human genome sequencing project looks at that percent of accuracy. If we look at chimps at the behavioral level, I think they're 60-50% likely to show attributable behaviors to us. But something crazy happened.
Well, no, it's
between
more
that
like
period of time and just a few.
3%.
I think it's 99. I think it's 99.6 or 96.7 or something. Let's just say effectively it's 99 for argument's sake. Let's pretend it's the other way, right? 99%. But the point is, nevertheless, in just a matter of a small number of thousands of years, something happened to create a single species that is not like any of the other species in the entire history of this planet.
Well, I would say all species.
If that doesn't strike you as something special. If that doesn't think there's something really special about us,
I would actually like to talk about that because
Go ahead,
I have a specific, I call it the "we went to the moon" argument, which is we are so freaking cool because we went to the moon. Look how awesome we are, thus equal God. And I just don't get it. What is special?
Are you saying the Earth is flat, Amy?
I know. I'm saying the Earth is round. I know it's great. But no, break it down for me. We're special how? Like, what is it? Is it just because we broke Earth orbit? Is it
because if I look at all the other species, including the closest ones to us by this shows about evolution, right? So if I look at our closest thing by evolution, then 1 second, Amy. I'm sorry, I had to do something. If you look at our closest species by evolution, i.e., a chimp by homology, if you just compare ourselves to our nearest ant, there's not even a comparison what we've done. Buildings, architecture, song, music, poetry, persistent culture, travel to the moon, splitting the atom. This one species.
Well, hold on. Let's break out each one. So you mean science? You mean religion? Because I would actually like to compare it. Well, let's compare
music.
Let's say how evolution works, Ralph.
Can I give humanity. You an example of why religion is one example why humans are not very special? Why? Because I think it's an example that we are able to get false positives and we anthropomorphize what would grant physical rights. Like we say a being would start the universe, even though there's really no evidence for that, and that seems to be a false positive that we're anthropomorphizing. And I think that's something I think would happen in other species. I think other species would also, but it would be their god, or maybe even multiple gods, or none.
Well, I'm not trying to understand your point, but anthropomorphizing aside, anthropomorphizing is said, the actual structure of your brain limits what it can comprehend, right? So the philosopher Wittgenstein said it best, right? A dog can expect its master, but it can't expect its master on a Wednesday. Dog can't do Wednesday, right? His brain can't function. So, but our species, it looks like, if I stay on the evolution path, something fantastic has happened. And this one species, if I take 6.2 million years in homology, or if I take all the way going back to single cells, something crazy seemed to have happened just recently that has differentiated us from everything else. I'm not invoking God here. And to not accept, first of all, that there's something fantastically special about us in a very tiny amount of time is not observing information. You're not observing the data correctly, right?
When you're talking recently, Ralph, you're talking like the other week or universally recently, like
I can take
100,000 years ago.
Well, to respect Amy's thesis of the show, let's just start at the last homological point, which is 6.2 million years ago. Even from 6.2 million years ago, which is when we got the last DNA from the common ancestor for chimpanzee, right? We have common ancestry there. There's nothing to debate there, right?
You're talking Homo erectus.
Yeah, so we just to get the homological record. Even from that point, and I'm being generous by going back 6 million years. I don't even have to go back. I can do it a few 100,000 years for language, right? But even in 6 million years,
you're looking like about 110,000 years to.
Correct. But the point I'm trying to make, Dog, is this: that I can look at I'm being generous, but overestimating and retracting back in time and saying, look, it's clear that our species is fantastically not like anything else. There is something particularly amazingly unique about our species and only our species. And if there was only a natural biological explanation, I need to look at my T-1 homological descent, which is a common ancestor of apes, and say, they never wrote books, they never wore clothes, they never wrote songs,
but they're
they
good
never
reasons.
For
why we write books, why we write.
You also adapt to your environment as well. That evolved. That's why you've got black people and Chinese people and Asian people, is because
and men and women.
Well, no, that's just a biological force, isn't it?
But so is race, isn't it?
We're not going to go down that.
If I could go back for a second,
what separates male from female? Why does that make them a separate race?
Because no, not race. I said the same distinction in biological realism is male and female is a sexually dimorphic species, and evolution is a 7 fragmentation of our outer genes.
We're not talking about dimorphia. We're talking about a species, a single species.
Okay, within a species, I'm just saying. But race realism derives from biological realism, which has 2 branches: gender realism and race realism. I'm acknowledging both. I'm not arguing against you. I'm reflecting your point.
Don't get me wrong.
I want to go back for a second, because I want to talk about, you brought up the example of a dog. You brought up the example of the dog doesn't think about Wednesday.
It can't do Wednesday.
And so I would suggest that although the dog can't isn't always as introspective. I would actually argue dogs can be introspective,
They're
but
very
just
sophisticated.
because they aren't writing a symphony, I don't think that it means that God had a hand in choosing us so that we could create music about them.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So if I then created a big table in science, a big table, and one I put all the species starting at single cell, ending at us, and I write the accomplishments in the columns, one thing I see is that humans are not like anything.
But can I freeze you for 1 second? Because you are talking about accomplishments, which is such a subjective thing.
I'm talking about specialness.
But wait,
Amy.
okay. But
special.
Like, well, you say specialness, but
Yeah,
I think you were
but the
being
most
honest
special.
when you said accomplishments. I think that is what we're talking about. And I don't think bacteria give a crap about accomplishments. I think if we were like and yet they may outlast us. They may, where we may perish.
But they will never be special.
An anthill is an accomplishment,
but isn't that such a subjective human thing? And I'm sorry, dog.
You and I are special, sweetheart. We are special. You know it in your heart.
Such a special is
very
such
special.
No, and actually that's a common theme, I would say, of this, at least of James and I think, is that other animals are just as awesome as we are. And it actually bothers me because I think that many theists, especially creationist bent, they look down on other animals. They feel that they are like the pinnacle, like this is the goal, this is as best as it can be.
You know that beautiful, Amy, that beautiful altruism we feel, that itself is only special to our species in my table, because a dog, and I love dogs, I adore dogs more than humans.
Thank you.
A dog is, from a dog's point of view, we're just meat that speaks. But from a dog's point of view, we're just meat that speaks. What's special about us is we look at them with altruism.
No. Virtually every species on this planet communicate with each other in their own language. Just because we don't speak dog language doesn't mean they don't talk to each other.
But we've reverse engineered most of animals.
Are meat that speaks.
No, we haven't. They still birds still communicate. You know, they still work together as a species.
Their language structures are very primitive. If you map them all into
we don't work together as a species. We're always against each other. Always fighting and warring and shit like that. We're probably the worst out of species. We're birds and ants and bees. They will work together as a species. We don't. That makes us.
There was a story in the Bible about humans working together, and that
all you got to do is
triggered God.
If humans work together, God normally kills us.
Yeah, I don't know. Play your favorite nature documentary about animals.
You can't compare. I agree with Amy. All species are beautiful, and they communicate in their own way.
And so my question, I think you're missing my point. If I drew a table and I put in the characteristic property, thinks all species are beautiful, only humans think this thought. Can you see my point?
How do you know that there isn't a dolphin that actually saw a human? Like, I think dolphins are amazingly introspective. I think that they are able to pass the mirror test, and they are highly social, emotional, sentient creatures.
Absolutely agree with you, right? But you're never going to see them.
They might have more potential than us.
And you say never. But like I said, if we perish and they survive, because they're all animals on, I don't know, we get flooded again, and apparently the fish, for whatever, everything in the sea gets to live again. Yeah, he does a round two. And then the dolphins take over, and then they are, there is a dolphin philosopher somewhere, and up against a dolphin theologian. That's like, I just can't imagine any other species. Could you imagine an ape-like species?
I have seen the Planet of the Apes. I'm a big fan of things like Dr. Dolittle and speaking to the animals. Right?
Can I ask you a question, Ralph?
Did you understand their message? That would be my highlight.
I know. You're like, dolphins are totally like pensive. I
Ralph,
get it, right?
Can I ask you a question? Do you work, Ralph?
I, unfortunately, for my sins, do have to work. Yes.
And why do you have to work?
Because I want to achieve a goal.
And what else? Do you need to feed a family, or?
Yeah,
money
your
to live and
family, look
survive.
after the people I love. Enjoy, as I'm a Christian, enjoy my life to the fullest, as God has given me the opportunity to live a good life.
Right.
God wants Christians to enjoy their lives as they are good Christians. But but I have a purpose. That's why I work. You asked me why do I work? Because I have a goal.
So why do you think that dolphins do back? Dolphins captured dolphins, obviously in your
I've swum with dolphins. They're
water
really
wells.
awesome.
Why do you think they do backflips and play with the white kids? They're calling it.
Oh, they have
Adam
clearly
Sandler and 50 First Dates.
I've played with dolphins. I know exactly what they're like
Because
from
for
first-person
food,
experience.
their payment is a fish at the end of
I'm sorry, are you asking me or are you telling me? I'm not sure.
Well, no, I'm just saying. You know.
Oh, you're just saying. You're not asking.
You know, it's a survival. You work for
that's your view.
You
So
work
that's
for your money
My
to
view is
do your bits and live, and they do backflips and
that's absolutely. That's more. I'm sure we can all marvel at the backflips. I mean, you play with them. If you stroke them, they do the equivalent of nuzzling, the behavior you see in a dog, right? But nevertheless,
well, they do
they
do it to survive as well, don't they?
They do it because
What makes them any different than us? Then they can swim better than us. I'm faster.
What makes them very different is you list all the achievements in the table I said. If I write from algae at the top or single-cell creatures, from abiogenesis all the way down the rows to us at the bottom, and I list everything
these achievements weren't passed down by God. Why didn't God just give fucking Moses a mobile phone and a car?
There you go. You almost just made the magic connection. We are special because God only gave us something. He didn't give all the other species. Boom, you got it in one. And what is that? To think about how to find God.
Well, I think that's just
that's why you're on the channel, right?
I think that's just insanity. No, I mean,
I still don't get what makes us special other than the fact that we like our own creations. Like, I think, can I tell you, I view humans as the tool makers. I think that's our niche. I think that has made us a specific type of successful apex predator in this current environment. But I marvel just very leisurely when I go over a bridge, when I am in a stadium, when I am just in massive structures that we have created, I get immensely proud because I do, like you, Ralph, I can understand. I am very happy for everything that I accomplished. I don't want to minimize our accomplishments.
God bless you.
Okay. But I would put with the asterisk, I like to think of it as lifting, not looking down, but lifting everything up. So it's not that I think that other animals are
lower there, but we have a custodian. You're on the money, Amy. We have a duty of care to them. We have a custodial relationship because they are all God's creatures. And by making us special, part of that special thing is to love the environment, to love all God's creatures. Amen to that. But we are special that we have the custodial rights over them, because back to my fundamental point, if you say this tool making, that story is as old as Prometheus, right? So when he stole the fire from the gods, he was given the ability to give tools. And what's the lesson we get from Prometheus? The ultimate tool, knowledge, more scientific method, more naturalism, is really just the fire and the tool to return to God. God gave us that, right? That is the story of Prometheus, right? That is the story of the tool. Ultimately, the tool is for us to find God. So when I look at your single-cell evolutionary chart, when I look at more quantum fields, I look at these things, there are things only given to us, dolphins notwithstanding, though I only eat tuna-friendly dolphin myself. But, that notwithstanding.
He's given us these tools. Yeah. He's given us these tools, yet hidden himself that these tools can't find him.
It's a way towards him. Not all who wander. If you want to give me the American, I'll give you the hippie version, the American hippie version. Not all who wander.
Jesus was a hippie with a foot fetish.
Well, that's just you trying to be like, hey, let me just attack Jesus because I'm in pain, right?
Well, no, that's just Jesus like washing feet.
No, I hear your soul screaming out from the pain you've suffered at the hand of the Catholic Church. I feel your pain.
Screaming out.
I do. You've got an icon of a dog
with
a
hope. Screaming out.
It is screaming out to me in your image.
So are you a biblical literalist? do you find things in? Because even answers in Genesis, I've mentioned it many times that Noah was not 900 years old when he built the ark. He was
No,
only
I don't.
500. He was only, they say he was only about 500 years old, which how does that make it any less ridiculous than the story itself?
But you see, there's an old saying: atheists talking about scripture is like, talking about music. It's like dancing.
There is
about
no atheist scripture at all.
Allow me. Talking about music is like dancing about architecture. An atheist talking about scripture is like dancing about architecture. It's interesting, but you don't believe. So your fundamental worldview is not ours. From the top to the bottom, you don't see the world as we did.
Well,
so your annotations on scripture are interesting to you guys, but not really important to us because you are not of faith, right?
I want to ask two questions on that, though.
Yes,
I want to be literal. I want to be literal for a second, and then see if we can connect. Well, so you say we are special. How is that not a special pleading fallacy?
It's actually a derivative conclusion from the axioms of our worldview. So if I start with the axiom of my worldview, that God has created this universe, and down that axiom reasoning, I get to He has created us for special because we are the only ones separate from everything else that can find a way back to Him by good and bad. Then that comes to that conclusion. I'm a Christian, so I believe the universe is created by God.
Yeah, well, what is
and our purpose
in
life is? It means my metaphysics informs my philosophy before it informs my science in that order.
Actually,
there's no science without philosophy. And
I need to add an addendum question now. If it was possible, you learned that an alien species came down and they were capable to receive the message of Jesus, would they also be special?
Yeah, they would be. And you could even argue that God may have created other species in other planets that we have yet to find. And if we actually do the Star Trek thing, and obviously Christians will leave the USS Starship Enterprise, clearly, and if the Christians fly this and we find a completely different alien species who've also believed because God has given their message, and perhaps the instantiation of Jesus was alien Jesus, then God has created a communion of two species.
If that is the case, then my proposition to you, you don't have to agree or disagree. I think that what you are calling special is the ability for minds to transfer and understand data. Now, and maybe within that to understand, that God really is this other mind that can,
Absolutely. Do you want me to get a bit technical? Amy, did you say you were studying computing a while ago, maybe a few months ago?
Yes, I am. It should be in the mail. I just got my Master's of Information Systems.
Woohoo! Well, congratulations. So therefore, we got a bit technical. I'd say absolutely. So if I then created a crazy idea that only someone who understands computer science might take on and say, well, if Genesis is the creation of the universe, 15 billion years ago, God has created something, 4.9 billion years, the planet crossed all the way down to 10,000 years last ice age. And in that, He's given us a message, a Promethean message to get back to Him. And if I look at that message as John 1:1, John 1:1 lines up perfectly with the thing that would have to transcend a universal Turing machine. It describes precisely an encoding of a message of how to find.
Why do we have to go back to Him? Why couldn't He just be in contact with us? Why do you have to hide Himself?
Because He's told us that's what He wants to do. Now, what you're doing is it's a common human fallacy. It's not a fallacy. I misspoke. It's a common human trait, a sin, to consider yourself special, to think you're equal and why God should do something. And if you read the book, The Autocrat and the Breakfast Table, there's a great quote. There's nothing more common than the need to feel special. Everyone wants to feel special. They want to feel like they're the most important thing. And you're trying to put yourself in the mind of God as to why. You can't.
Can I just take you back to John 1:1, Ralph? Mm-hmm. And that's just people seeing the world as they perceive it. Correct?
Mm-hmm. No. Oh no. What the John 1:1 is saying in the beginning of the word words with God is literally saying the thing that evolves the revelation of space-time. Embedded within it is the logos. Derivative of the logos is veracity and truth, the precursors to the philosophy of science. And embedded within that logos is the arrival of Christ.
Is the world we've seen with our eyes, yeah?
No, it isn't. Not at all. John 1:1 is far deeper than that.
Hang on.
You can Google it as you like, and you can spend your entire life studying John 1:1.
John 1:1, that which from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have
John
looked
1:1.
upon, and our hands have handled.
You're reading
That's
the wrong
word
verse.
of God, yeah?
No, you're reading the wrong verse. I said John 1:1.
John 1:1, yeah. That which we, that's what I'm saying here. John 1:1, in the beginning was the word. And the word
Yes, keep
was
going.
that which we was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen. That's just what we perceive, yeah?
I don't want to be rude here, but
Is that not, am I not allowed to interpret the Bible the way the people? See, I believe that people. I believe that people interpret the Bible in their own ways, and people who want to make money from it manipulate the Bible.
A side point. Nevertheless, what was difficult?
No, is that a fair point that people who want to make money from it manipulate it?
It was amazing.
Your Ken Hams and your Ken Hovens and
a fascinating side point. A fascinating side point. But nevertheless, you couldn't actually read John 1:1 out correctly. Can you try once more?
I only Googled. Okay. I just Googled the first.
So you're telling me all about John 1:1 and you don't know it from recitation?
Right, let me see. John 1:1 in the KJV. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Stop. Right there was my point.
In the beginning was the Word, it was God.
The
same was the beginning with God. All things were made by Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. In Him was life. Life was the light of men. Am I not reading that correctly?
No, but the thing is, I was talking to Amy to explain John 1:1. You want to keep reading John. That's fine. We can read John. But my point
said
was
I've read it wrong. Have I read it wrong, or am I reading it correctly?
Now you've read John 1:1 correctly, but you're not listening very well. Amy asked me a question.
No, I am listening. I was just putting my interpretation
listen to these words.
Is that not perception?
No, listen.
What was Amy's question?
Amy had a question. We was talking to Amy about Amy finishing her computing degree. And then me pointing out to Amy that finished her computing degree that just John 1:1, nothing more, are the precepts metaphysically for the adornment of a Turing machine. I was wondering if Amy could see that.
I did not see that as the blueprints for a Turing machine, but I'm going to have to look into John 1:1.
That's the thing I was trying to communicate before the dog guy kept barking about John 1:2. Right? I think John 1:1, Amy, check it out. Revisit your Turing machine.
Well, then I'll get back. I will look into that and get back to you on that. But I want to actually do two things, and I keep on adding one more question. But then we are going to go into our outros, in which everyone can say whatever they want on both whatever we're talking about and the topic in general. But you have brought up Prometheus a bunch. I mean, I am a big fan of mythic structure in general. That is the giant irony of all this, is that I think when you stop being so literal about religion and just use it to make movies, TV shows, and video games, it actually becomes very useful.
Who doesn't like Pokemon cards?
Exactly. And so, I mean, every Avatar, the movie, is a great just example of mythic structure. Just these types of Star Wars, these types of movies. When you talk about Prometheus, it just makes me think, why can't we just have the wisdom of what is my opinion, us leaving the journey of getting fire, the journey of us leaving the
We already have fire, Amy. Your panel
well, exactly.
Fire.
That
you already have your panel demonstrates the skeptic.
It's a metaphor.
Community.
It's a metaphor.
The skeptic community today, the internet digital skeptical community, represents fire. And this fire is the fire of doubting God. And I enjoy this skeptic community. I think they should be given the Promethean tool of question by reasoning, question by philosophy, question by fallacy, question by naturalism. You've been given the tool of fire to discover God. You talk all day about God, right?
Well,
no,
I would say it's
I think it's community non-control. I believe religion is a control mechanism, control with fear.
You know what, matey, I wish it was, but unfortunately we're too liberalized.
Well, no, it's not liberal at all. Have you ever read the Bible?
No, I don't read the Bible.
The King James Bible, for example, which I don't know if that's the book you read, it's got the hell, the torture, hellfire, lake of fire, hell, is not even in Scripture. It's got nothing to do with scripture. That came in 1611 in the King James Bible, which I believe was based on the ironic comedy series of Dante and his Inferno.
Yeah,
Many
there's all these
popes.
perspectives.
Before that, it was a thing called Sheol.
But you know, I prefer.
Sheol just meant the grave
you're
or eternal
mate.
nothingness.
But you're English, mate.
That's what hell was in
but
scripture.
You're English, right, mate? You're English, right? So you must
It's
appreciate
got
more
nothing
than
to do with
anyone.
English. The
No, but
Bible
what I'm
has
saying
been
is,
rewritten and manipulated. And
allow me to respond.
Let him respond, dog. Let him respond.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm saying is, you're English, so you more than ever will realize, even in Bristol, the outrage in the 1970s of the life of Brian being shown, right? And from just the point that we could mock religion, satire,
I think the life of Brian was more true.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Time and the people, and it was. I think it was a well-devised film that made it into comedy.
Absolutely. Christians love the life of Brian and all of it. And no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. And unfortunately, we can't have a fireside chat, as you and me, with a bit of scripture down in my dungeon, where we can, address these questions you have in a single night. We're not allowed to do that right now. But yeah, you're right. Of course, we'd love to do that. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition, mate.
And I don't believe you're a bad person, Ralph. You've got your beliefs, and if that's what gets you out of bed in the morning, then so be it. But you embrace science, to an extent.
Well, and thank you so very much. That actually brings me to the final. That is a lovely transition, because Ralph, you're on the skeptics. You're on with 3 non-believers. It's a rarity that I can get you on a subject that, I mean, I swear, you agree with us. In fact, you believe in evolution. You believe in the fossil record. In fact, to stay on topic, you believe the fossil record proves evolution. You just think that...
I think not quite. I think there's some gaps in science we're going to be closing very quickly. Particularly, I met one of my mentors in my life is Dr. Stuart Kaufman at the Santa Fe Institute. He's the first person to receive the Genius MacArthurship Award in the United States for disproving Darwinism as being insufficient. We know we're going to look for things like spontaneous order for free, but let's pretend all of it will eventually be resolved, and we get a perfect description with the holes that says how we managed to get from a single cell abiogenesis here. Absolutely, that's God telling us how to discover the physical nature of the universe. It does nothing to change my view of God.
Can I ask how this promotes your beliefs, Ralph? If you don't mind.
It's not a question of it promotes my belief in the sense that I believe science, physics, Aristotle physics. If I unite them, the 3 epistemic priesthoods are maths, physics, computing together. Those 3 things together derive all the other sciences: biology, chemistry, evolutionary biology. And we're going to look at all of these things using maths, physics, computing to get closer to God. The more I see the universe, the more convinced I'm of God. Right?
What you're saying is God gave us the Big Bang, and that was it.
He gave us more than that. He gave more than that. He gave us a way to find him via the metaphysical concept of good and bad, of right and wrong, of morality.
No one has.
And he's given us
a way.
No one has.
Find him.
Correct. All we can do is go towards him.
Well, I still think...
Like Icarus flew into the sun, he didn't make it to the sun. But the idealism of flying to the sun.
These are just we're gonna wrap it up,
stories, aren't we?
Guys. Lovely discussion.
All right, guys. I will actually let you all have your own final says in your outros. I do want to thank all of you for joining us. We are now going to go in the exact opposite order that they came in, which means Ralph was the last person to join us, which means he's starting us off as we are skeptic at ranting. The fossil record proves evolution debunked. Woo-hoo. Thank you so much, as always, Ralph, for joining us. We always love theists. We want to actually promote theists to come on here and join us. We don't want to mute anybody. We don't want to kick anybody. We truly just want if ideas work, they will test of time. And so we want to thank you.
Unless you're going to pay her to kick you.
unless you're going to pay, unless you're into that kind of thing. But nonetheless, I want to thank you for joining us. We are talking the fossil record proves evolution debunked. What are your thoughts?
Whoops on mute. Thank you ever so much for having me on. I think it's a good one. I think I love things like evolution, science, speciation, the human genome sequence, and I believe all of these things are going to give us better insights into why God has given us the life He has. So I love dogs, I love dolphins, and I love skeptics, and that's the only way. That's the only way we're going to get to. So God bless everyone.
Thank you so very much, Ralph. Like I said, lovely having our theist brothers and sisters on, as always. And all right, going right down the line, Dog. I hope you had a fun time on this Skeptic and Ranting. The fossil record proves evolution. What are your final thoughts?
Normally, I don't watch you live, Amy, but I normally catch up with you at some point and drop a like, obviously. Yeah, it was good. Thanks for having me on, and
we appreciate
respect to all you guys, and even Ralph. I've got nothing against people who believe, but I'm going to shill a little bit. Coming next month is the Gospel according to Dog with the capital G. We were going to rewrite the Bible. I mean, that's not going to hurt anyone, has it? It's been rewritten so many times that I'm not going to change the word of it and the meaning of it. I'm going to make it less manipulative and less. We can't interpret it as much. Let's say interpretive, is that a word? I don't even think that's a word. But
it can be. Works for me.
So no one can interpret it. No, it's going to be up to date. It's going to be down with science, and just do my bit, basically. Hopefully, it will make it the nonsense it is. And I'm not saying, obviously, Ralph, he's got his own agenda with the Bible. He has his own interpretation. He embraces science and whatnot. But hopefully, it will make the people who take it literally, make them change their ways of belief, because their ways of belief and indoctrination is hurting humanity, as far as I'm concerned, especially children. And most of my dislike of religion is via the Catholic Church, via the Bigelow report, the involvement in the Holocaust, the embracement of war and poverty, and what the bad they have done in this to promote their beliefs. I'm hoping that if we get two or three likes or watches or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. It's clear in my own head of what religion did to me.
As long as you're passionate about it.
As a human being, religion mistreated me, but fortunately I was young enough to realize that where some people will go through life still believing in the nonsense that it promotes.
He stopped believing.
I stopped believing. Yeah, I stopped believing when I was I was expelled from Catholic school for questioning dogma too. It became a habit for me. The first question I ever asked, I always remember, was from the Old Testament when the Adams, let's say, the Adams family were expelled from the Garden of Eden. How come Adam met these hundreds of people about the world if they were the only people alive? You know, this is in the Bible. This is a contradiction in itself. And it goes through to, original sin and, why should I believe in that? And the Trinity, it goes, it's my belief is based a lot on the Catholic and their belief in the Trinity and well, it was upsetting for me, let's say. And I went through my teenage years a very angry teen. It wasn't a good life. I used to hang about pubs. I became a boxer here. My uncle had me focus myself to box for and focus my aggression on opponents, sort of thing. Which I did well to the age of 19 when the age bracket of boxing in Lancashire back in the 80s, it changed. And then I had to fight people who've been boxing for a long time. And I had one fight and I thought, yeah, that's enough for you of boxing, because people who have been fighting for a long time can kick the shit out of me. And I realized that very quickly. But yeah, I went through the hatred of religion and the anger of being forsaken, let's say, and it just made me an atheist, and I'm proud to be an atheist, and it's made me a better person, because at the end of the day, you get one shot at it. Hello, Esther. You get one shot at it, and you do what you can with it. Some people are unfortunate and they don't do much more than live in a box on the side of the road and beg for their money. But you get one shot at it and you do what you can. And if you can help people, and just do it. Help people.
Hells yeah.
Live the life, live the best life you can, without people dragging you down, like a lot of the American Christians. I call that a hate cult, and they say, "Oh, it's not a cult." And anywhere where you go and sing songs and perform any sort of rituals, like getting on your knees and standing up and singing songs, getting on your knees, getting down, and bowing.
Amy's down with the knees part.
Yeah, and bowing to a wooden effigy of a Hollywood Jesus with abs and all of that. That's a very definition of a cult, as far as I'm concerned. Any congregation like that where you do that is a cult. And as well as hate cult, if anyone's ever been on Twitter and talked to a fundamental Christian, will realize that they hate atheists. We're all pedophiles. We're all this. We're all that. I can babble on all night on my hatred of religion.
No, it's okay. It's the normal atheists, you know.
But I have to say that it was religion that made me like this, not just a wake up call. It was actually religion that made me this way, and it's something I have to live with now. That's the dark side. The dark side of me is religion, and it's not good.
Religion poisons everything.
It's poisoned me, and it's something I have to live with. I would love to still be a believer, and there's something after all of this, but no, there isn't. And it says so in Scripture. Sheol is eternal nothingness, and that's basically what what an atheist believes. There's nothing after death, just nothingness, darkness. Whether you're not aware of it, but it's it. You die. I say it's on my donor card. My body is going to the local university hospital, where I'm going to the medical students, where they can chop me up into sushi and learn about the body. I'm going to help future doctors learn about me. So I'm going to be sushi in however many years' time. Could be tomorrow. Could get it by a bus. But that's just the way, life is. You get one shot at it, live it. And that's what I'm going to say, live it. That's me done, Amy. Go on.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you so very much, Doug. It was lovely having you on.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, James. Thank you, Ralph, as well, for your chat. It was great.
A pleasure meeting you, Doug.
And I will say, Ralph, that would be pretty awesome. I never thought about maybe even doing going in the ring myself on Debate Me, Brah, but I'm
be
honest
fun.
with you. That'd be pretty fun. So
yeah, I think I need to be slapped down, Amy. I need to be put in my place, and you're the person to do it.
Oh, you a naughty boy. James may have to be our mod.
Ralph has been a naughty boy, Amy.
Oh,
I think
my.
He's screaming for some corrective behavior. Right?
And with that, we are handing it over.
I think Amy's got a fix for that.
Oh my. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of new upcoming content and what might be a even new Debate Me, Brah. But with that, we're handing it over to the captain of the ship, James. This is a heart near to dear to Dr. Dino and yourselves' heart. We have been skeptic and ranting on the fossil record. Proves evolution debunked. What are your thoughts?
Well, of course, fossils prove evolution, but so does virtually every other field of science. It all works together. It all fits. And you have overlapping lines of evidence. It's just reality. And it's good to hear that Ralph doesn't really pick a quarrel with evolution. It is what it is. It's reality. Work your theology around that, and we can deal with the rest in good order. But at least connect yourself with reality first. So thanks, guys, for coming along for us down the journey, and we will be back later in the week. Have a good night, guys. My debate with Ken Hovind, March 11th, a little over a month ago, coming up.
On Standing for Truth channel, right?
Standing for Truth, yep. I think Oz might still be on, so if you guys.
Oh well, then.
All right, Amy, I'm going to jump. I'm going to bail now. But thanks ever so much again. Bye, chat.
Bye, Ralph.
Bye.
It was nice talking with you, and we'll set that up. We'll set all kinds of fun. Like I said,
you have his email. You guys communicating?
I think you have my email, Amy. I'll send it to you again if you don't.
And what was Dr. Dino trying to think? There was something I was about to send, but I'm sending love to all of you.
Oz.
Oh. Well then, yes, this is absolutely a call out. This is a call out. You should all head over to Tangang to see Oz. He did his first stand-up special. And can I tell you something? Let me tell you something. For all those would-be stand-up comedians out there, there is only a single thing you need to do to be a stand-up comedian. And that's go up on stage. It's the only thing you need to do. If you do that, you are a comedian. People could say you're a bad comedian, good comedian. They could say a lot of shit.
But you are a
comedian. That's the difference between the people who go up on stage and those who don't. And that is the difference. So you should all go out there. That's right. You should all go out there to Tangang, check out Oz's first stand-up, and I think Oz is streaming still right now. You should all head over there right now.
Can I just say that I know what Dr. Dinosaur is thinking right now?
Please, please, I hope the soap doesn't drop in these walls if they know what I've done to my wife. What were we talking about?
Dr. Dino. I know what Dr. Dino was thinking right now.
Yes, what was Dr. Dino thinking?
15 foot long.
How to beat up his next wife without getting caught.
Oh. She'll have to find that out the hard way.
Great minds think alike.
Mrs. Hovind, number 4.
Isn't the hard way him getting caught?
He's collected a gaggle of
I don't really like
4
to think of him as Kent as much as K7X7432. Yeah, inmate number.
Is that not misogynist calling a group of women a gaggle?
No,
Casanova.
I don't know. I'm not going to call anything, but I would say anything in general negative directions that you put towards Kent that he does for this country, for science, and just about anyone that I assume has dated him. I apologize to the world. Anyway, go check out that debate because once again, we have been talking about evolution and these proponents of young Earth creationism are truly a plague on not just Western society, just society. Reality, whatever label that you want to call it. Nonetheless, I hope you all had a fun time. Even
Gizmo doesn't get it.
I had a fun time on this episode of Skeptic and Ranting. The fossil record proves evolution debunked. Where tonight, yes, yeah, no, I'm gonna have to pass. We watched a video called "The Fossil Record Proves Evolution Debunked" from, well, being on, at least they're on brand with the theming, from the channel DeBunked Ministries. Hey, look, not hating on the production values, just the content. So take that for what it's worth. And we had fun that took billions of years to get here. I want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our guests, Dog and Ralph, as well as the lovely people in chat, our awesome mods who make this stream so great, and fantastic viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If you enjoyed the show, please like, follow, or subscribe, because then you gain access to that bell icon to be set to all, which gives you reminders to join our live streams. Hi, interwebs. After the show, we will be heading over to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below. Or hey, why not leave a comment once the video's done? Lastly, if you'd like to help us make even more content, we offer some perks for our supporters by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I'm Amy Newman. However, we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z.
You believe how much litter this guy goes through. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, who has who trained? That's who you really need to ask yourselves. Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.